And we're live. How are you, sir? What's going on, man?
Very well, thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for the coffee machine. And this, I just learned that it's turmeric. I used to say turmeric. I used to not even think there was an R in there for some strange reason.
Well, in Hawaii, it's Olena, so it just depends on which country you're in. Yeah,
it's a what is it's a root, right?
Yeah, it's in the ginger family.
And is it why do they call it Olena? Is that a
That's just a Hawaiian name. I mean, the Indians probably have another. You know, in India, it's probably one of the most used. Roots. It's in all Indian foods. It's full of it.
Yeah, it's really healthy for you, right? It's great for inflammation.
Yeah, and gut health too.
So you gave me this Laird Superfoods coffee machine, and I'm addicted to this now. This coffee with turmeric. I've never had it before.
Well, there's some other minerals and stuff in there too. So if you're addicted to it, it's because there's things that are good for you.
Yeah, like I crave it.
Yeah,
like it seems like something. I
well,
should
your
be
body
drinking.
wants it.
Yeah,
I think sometimes people think cravings are based on negative, like it's bad because I crave it. But I think cravings are natural. I think, but it's we abuse it when we use garbage, but when you're craving something like that, I mean, there's a bunch of minerals and a bunch of good fats, and there's a bunch of good stuff in there.
Yeah, it's hard to tell though, right? Like sometimes you crave sugar, sometimes you crave ice cream. Like there's some cravings that are not good. But
exactly.
Other ones are.
Exactly. But the system of craving, I believe, is part of a natural human thing that we have that was meant to crave good things, but we abuse it because sugar in nature is meant to be safe. That means it's safe to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fruit,
but then we abuse it by disguising a bunch of garbage with sugar, and then people think, oh, that's great to eat.
That makes sense. Yeah, because whenever I lift weights, I crave protein.
Yeah.
I crave like fish or chicken or steak or something.
Yeah. Well, you're beating up muscles. You want protein.
Yeah, but it's an instantaneous craving.
Yeah.
Like it's like right away. I'm like, oh, I got to eat something. Yeah. So you've got me cranking the sauna up. Your wife told me that you crank yours up to 220 degrees. Is that real?
That's real.
God damn, man. I get to 210 and I'm like, how long do you do at 220?
Well, it depends on how cold you go into it.
Oh, okay.
So if your core temperature is way down, you can, if you got off a stationary bike and your core was nice and hot and you went in there, you'd be lucky to get 10 or 15 minutes out. If you come out of a ice tub or you've been outside with minimal clothing, you could go in there and for 20 minutes at 220. So it just depends on, where your core is.
Is that how you do it? You do from an ice bath?
I will do it from an ice bath. It just, I think you just break it up. It's just like anything, any kind of training. You just want to constantly stress the system. And if you're used to a certain pattern, go into it hot. Like if you go into a sauna hot, coming off of some cardio, it's twice as hot. If you go in cold, then you can go for a longer period of time. And same with the ice. I mean, if you go into the ice cold, the ice will tap you. If you go in hot, you can be there. So
yeah, they're doing some studies now on hot yoga out of Harvard. They're trying to figure out if hot yoga mimics the positive health effects of sauna. And so the idea is that, because you're straining and resisting, it feels much hotter than 104 degrees. If you had a sauna that was 104, 105 degrees, it'd be nothing.
For sure.
But yoga at 105 degrees is pretty rough.
Well, because again, core temperature is hot. So we do some stationary bikes in the sauna.
Oh, wow.
And that's just, it's like you can always up the ante. It's like a weight stack. You just slap more lead on there. And we'll go in this with an assault bike. I have an assault bike in one of the saunas, and we'll crank that thing up. And and you're lucky. You might be 5 or 10 minutes, and you're. But I think we're such good adapters. Our adaptation is amazing, and you do some stuff for a while. I think pretty soon you're like, oh, I can handle an assault bike at a survivable pace.
Yeah, survivable. That's a rough machine.
I
have the Rogue version, the Echo bike.
Yeah.
That thing is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
For sure. It's all 4 limbs.
Yeah, all 4 limbs. It's one of my all-time, 2 Tabatas. I do Tabata sprints on it. Yeah. My all-time favorite method of cardio.
For sure. For sure. Well, low impact on the system. You're not beating the joints up. All 4 things are working. And you could throw in some nose breathing in there or something, and breath holding intervals or something just to... pain and suffering.
You were explaining nose breathing to me out there.
Yeah.
How nose breathing is better.
Better for you.
because of?
Well, first of all, you were designed to breathe. Your sinuses and your nose were designed for breathing. And so you actually emit a gas in your sinuses. From my understanding, a gas called nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator. It helps you absorb oxygen. So by breathing through your nose, plus you reduce the amount of intake that you have, and that gets you CO2 tolerant. So all of a sudden you're breathing less volume. I mean, you know from the fight game, as soon as a guy goes to mouth breathing, you're like, he's toast. You know that, right? That's your first giveaway. Yeah. So your ability to deal with stress and breathe through your nose. I mean, everybody should be breathing through their nose in their sleep, walking around. I mean, we became mouth breathers in the last 200 years, and they're not sure why. There's a great book called The Oxygen Advantage by Patrick McDougall that he actually is on our board of XPT, but he kind of realized that our issues really stem from mouth breathing, chronic mouth breathing, which is scrubbing our CO2 and keeping our CO2 levels down, which is the marker to absorb oxygen. So when your CO2 levels are down, you don't absorb the oxygen from your bloodstream. The cells don't take it. As soon as the CO2 goes up, then the body starts to pull it out of the blood.
Interesting. So smaller amounts by breathing through the nose actually makes you absorb more oxygen.
Well, keeps your tolerance. Yeah, but definitely gets your CO2 tolerant up. But the smaller volume helps your body become more tolerant of higher levels of CO2. But the sinuses themselves emit a gas that helps the lung absorb the oxygen. And that's what I've been led to understand.
I had a broken nose until I was 40. My nose was useless. I couldn't get anything out of it. It had been broken like who knows how many times. Yeah. And it was the inside was all caked up with scar tissue and calcified. And when I got it fixed, it was like the world changed. It was like, I couldn't do that. I just couldn't breathe out of my nose. I would go to yoga class. He'd tell me to breathe out of my nose. I'm like, I don't have one. I could smell farts. Yeah. That's it. I could smell gas and gasoline. Like it has to be rough for me to smell it. But now I have a real nose. Yeah. I always encourage people, please, if you have a broken nose, please get that deviated septum fixed. Well,
it's surprising if you start to nose breathe, even if you have struggle, because of that gas helps you open up. A lot of people, I mean, I'm not saying that you have that, but a lot of people actually will gain volume after a few weeks of forcing themselves to nose breathe. They'll actually start to open up all of that system.
That actually makes sense.
So it's
your body would just adapt and try.
It forces it to open, but it's all about nose breathing.
Wow. I just thought it was just more difficult, so it's probably a good thing to do for discipline.
Absolutely. And if you can do your cardio and retain a nose breath, you have another gear. Because then when you go to mouth, it's like it's like having a blower in your car or something. You open up the air, and it's a whole new game. So by being able to sustain a high output with nose breathing, then and like I said, it's all about the tolerance for CO2. It's how much CO2 you can handle in your system, like that's why altitude screws people up, because the CO2 jacks up and they don't have a tolerance, and then you get all wonky and you feel like crap.
Yeah, it's interesting you're talking about cravings, because one of the things that I've noticed since I cranked up the temperature in the sauna for the first week to 200 degrees, then I've been doing 210 for the last few days. And you crave it now. I crave it. Like when I'm at home, I'm like, I can't wait to get back in that goddamn sauna again. Meanwhile, when I'm in there, I can't wait to get out. It's weird.
There within lies the struggle. Yeah. I mean, the ice is the same way. Like I have an addiction to ice, and recently just came back from Hawaii, and I'm like dealing with this ice machine's broken down. I'm waiting for the new one. I keep calling the guy and go, hey, when are you going to put the thing in? And he's thinking it's like a luxury. Like, yeah, you got to, what do you need an ice machine at your house for? I mean, because I have two like restaurant size ones.
Two of them?
Yeah. And well, I have a lot of friends. But he's like, what do you need that for? And I'm like, I like just get, he's got the tubs. I'm like, need, but my body craves. You get it. Listen, your body is just craving the things that are bringing the hormones and doing. I mean, it's like why you crave exercise. I have a theory that the reason why people are hooked to cardio activity is because it's forced breathing. That because you wouldn't willingly just sit on your floor and breathe heavy for an hour. Right. So your body's like, okay, let's go for a run. Like, let's go, you need to run. You better run. You better run. And then you go run, and then the body gets that absorption gets that oxygen that it really wants.
I feel like there's probably several factors, because also I feel like when I'm really consistent with my workouts, I know that I'm gaining momentum, and I know like, I'm consistent, everything's going great, I'm in great shape right now, I got to keep pushing this.
Yeah.
That feels like it feels like just positive results are being achieved, and you sort of get addicted to success.
Well, but also to the body, the adaptation. If you ever put yourself under some real severe stress in multiple days, the first day you feel like you're not going to be able to make it. The second day you're feeling, like you can't make it. The third, pretty soon the fourth day, the body's like, oh, this is the new house we're living in. Like this is where we're at. Okay, well, we're going to adapt and modify, and then pretty soon you're doing even more than you were doing the first couple of days, and you're not even feeling it.
Yeah.
And so it's like we're an amazing machine, we're an amazing creature. Just the way we can handle the load and especially in our new world where we, don't have to do much.
Yeah. Yeah, unless we want to. Do you know who Eddie Izzard is?
Yeah.
The comedian?
Yeah.
He ran a series of marathons all around the UK, and then he did one in South Africa. Yeah. And he was on 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me that when you first started doing it, like the first few were really hard, but then your body's like, well, this is what we do. We run marathons. And then like day 3, day 4, things started picking up, day 5, and by the time day 10 came along, he's just running.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I got a friend ran 125 in a row, and then he ran the Boston after that. And then he had a fight in Vegas, and he ran a marathon in the morning, and then he like knocked the guy out in the third round. And after, I mean, he ran a
marathon in the morning and then fought that day. Holy shit! That's a cool. Who is this?
Tom Jones, Muay Thai, 7-time Muay Thai world champion.
Jesus Christ, Tom Jones.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? You run a marathon the day you fight? Imagine if a dude knocked you out after you ran a marathon. I'd be like, I'm done. This is not me.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn how to play golf.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Yeah, Muay Thai.
Fuck this and fuck Tom Jones.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. That's crazy. So he ran 125 marathons in a row. So 125 days of marathons?
To Boston, and then he ran the Boston when he got there. Oh, he ran across the country.
What?
He ran across the country.
So that's how he got there?
Yeah.
Well, so he ran a marathon, took a nap, ate some food, ran a marathon, took a nap, ate some. What the fuck?
But it just shows you that that ability to adapt and what we can do. It's amazing how the body will just, when you push it and you keep, it'll just be like, it'll ramp. I mean, and I think for us in our new world that we live in, that seems so crazy, but probably in the past we were like, oh yeah, well, we went all the way down to South America and we did some hunting down there, and then we trekked a marathon or two per day, and we came all the way back to Alaska,
right,
that was just our life.
Alive. Yeah. Well, especially when they used to persistence hunt, when they would just run an animal down, because animals are great for sprints, but for especially like gazelles and things along those lines.
But you know what the real technique really is based on is that our breathing. That breathing is what gives us, we have an ability to adjust our breath, so we can actually adjust how many times we breathe per motion, where a lot of these animals are breathing for a rep. Every rep is a breath, so every step is and we can do multiple steps in one breath, and so that's why we can outrun a horse. At the end of the day, you always see in the cowboy movies, the horse is laying dead in the desert, and the guy's still going along, but because those mammals are breathing every breath is a rep. And you imagine how tiring that is. Like you hear a horse run, right? They're breathing and we're running full speed, but we can just do a breath and then do 5 or 6 or 8 reps. And that gives us that endurance. That's why we can run those gazelles down, because those guys are just they're breathed out.
That's interesting. Well, I'm always very appreciative of guys like you that are in my age range. You're 55, right? I'm 51.
Speed limit,
speed limit. But you're also very fit and very active, and you keep going. Whereas a lot of guys around 55, like it's a wrap.
Turn off the car.
Yeah. There's not much in the tank, and so I like to see guys that are in my age bracket or a little bit ahead of me, like, oh, he's going. I can keep going too.
Full speed.
And I think a lot of that is just thinking and knowing that you can, because I think so many people feel like, hey, I'm 45, it's time to settle down, it's time to relax and and wind down this exercise,
But I think that people use that as a disclaimer to not do the work.
That's
it's like, now I'm 45, so now I don't I'm too old.
Yeah.
Right. That's for me. I think that's a way out. Right. That's a way to go. Hey, I don't want to do the work anymore. And I have one of my best friends just passed this last year, and he was 85 when he passed, and he was he did the Ironman 10 times. The first time was when he was 50, and then he's done the Race Across America 3 times. I mean, he was just an animal. Bang iron every day, ride the bike. Just
at 85, he was doing all that still.
An animal. An animal till the day he died. I was like,
wow.
And his name was, and this is the irony was, his name was Don Wildman. And so, like, that's his given name. No, I'm serious. That's
amazing.
His given name. I go, anybody named the Wild Man's got to keep it up. But he was, like you're talking about, when you can see it, right? When you go, what does it look like when I see? I mean, you look at. It's interesting to see in sports right now. We have a lot of athletes right now that are operating as they're the oldest that we've seen, and I believe a lot of it has to do with the fact that that they have some examples, but they're also not accepting that, hey, now you're too old. Like that's because that's a decision. Like, hey, oh, now you're too old. Oh yeah, you're going to keep doing that. It's like, yeah, you're going to do it all the way until they throw the dirt on the box. Like we're going all the way full speed until we're not, and then when we're not, we're not.
What did Mr. Wildman die of?
It was a cancer that he couldn't fight through chemo, and so but it was within like a couple weeks. Like he just was like shut it down. It was at one point. He was a little bit like the Ever-Ready Bunny and Humpty Dumpty. Like he would just like double knee surgery, like within like. He had a broken leg and he'd be on a stationary bike with a crutch on one of the pedals, and he'd be pedaling and crutching on the other leg. I mean, he was just absolutely out of his mind. And the doctors be like, oh, you're healing faster than a 30-year-old. And I'm like, yeah, well, because he's just a cardio monster. And so he's getting that blood flow. And we were helicopter snowboarding in Chile this last summer, not this one, but the one before. And I'm with the guide, and the guide goes, hey, how old's your buddy? And I'm like, oh, he's 84. And he looked at me and he's like, yeah, no, I mean, but how old is he? And I'm like, he's 84. And he's like, yeah, he's 84. Like, check it out, buddy. He's going fakey, and like, I mean, he was our poster child. He's our guy. We look at, we go, I mean, and I've had a few of those, I think, that I've been exposed to in my life, where there's guys that those are the guys that I always admired. I always admired the guys that just were always going full speed and never they didn't succumb to all that pressure from society, like, hey, you're old now, you can still do that? What do you think, you're a kid? Just all the bullshit that you can feed into and be a victim of.
Yeah, we have these preconceived notions of what it's like to be 30, what it's like to be 50, what it's like to be 85. And some people are like, yeah, you can fuck that. I'm not interested.
Yeah, because they're never looking at age as some like feeling. Like they're never going, oh, 35, you feel like this. At 40, oh, you're slowing down now. And then you lay down. It's like, I always say, if people stop doing something, like they go, oh, I'm going to retire now, man, I'm getting old in the sport. It's really not that they're getting old. It's just that they've made a decision that they don't want to do anymore. And they just use the age as a disclaimer, like, hey, I'm good,
Yeah, for some folks, I think it's a mental tiredness.
For sure.
Keeping up their enthusiasm is probably the difficult thing. And that's why I think a lot of people look forward to retirement, right? They look forward to those golden years where they're just holding hands and walking towards the sunset.
Just jump on a sword. I mean, no, I mean, that's just like, at that point, you're just alive dead.
Yeah.
You're dead, but you're alive. Like,
but I think some people look forward to some day where they don't have to struggle.
Then they can't be on Earth.
Yeah.
You can't be. I'm just saying. Well, you can. I mean, like, I'm sorry. The system is a little bit designed to struggle. Everything that we do that's good for us has a certain amount of stress. It's like, you want to get in that sauna, you want to get on that assault bike, you want to jump in that ring, you want to hike that mountain. It's all stress driven. And the fact is, that's our universe. That's the universe we live in. And so if you got some other, and I appreciate, let's hack our way through it. And I think there's ways that hacking supports us. We can hack our way but only support the things that we're doing.
Yeah.
But thinking that you can just hack your way through and not actually suffer It's impossible. You just you gotta suffer.
I also think you don't appreciate the good times unless you suffer.
Absolutely.
I think I appreciate food more when I work out. I appreciate life more. I like doing things more when I struggle.
Absolutely. I can tell you, I know sitting down is an incredible thing. Like when you go, wow, this feels so good.
Just to sit down. Yeah, because you're straining so hard. Yeah.
For sure.
But a lot of people don't recognize that. That's a lesson I think people really need to get drilled into their head.
It's not that tricky.
Right.
No, I'm just saying this isn't rocket science. This isn't like elaborate. It's available for everybody. Just move.
Yeah, move.
Just keep going. Drive it hard.
Yeah.
And I can promise you, you'll sleep better. Like everybody, we have a lot of sleeping issues right now, and I'm just like, well, people aren't tired enough. Yeah. Like my daughter was like, oh yeah, having a hard time sleeping, and now she's been banging tennis balls 7 hours a day, and I'm telling you, she's not having a problem sleeping now.
Right.
Like she's sleeping real well. I'm like, yeah, I think that a lot of it's a lack of movement. We just not moving.
Yeah, and then your brain races because your body's not getting exhausted. So you develop all this anxiety and all this weirdness. Hunter-gatherers did not have the need for Ambien.
I guarantee it.
Yeah,
there was no melatonin. There was
no need.
Yeah. The melatonin was created in their retina from staring at the sun in the early morning light. I mean, they were up, they were moving, and they were up early, and they were going until dark. And at dark, it was time to lay down, and then you just did that, and you were not. Sleep issues weren't a problem back then.
It's interesting. I'm learning from my dog because my dog is up first thing in the morning when the sun is up, and then when it starts getting dark out, once he eats, man, he's just laying down. He's like, "What's up? I'm just chilling over here."
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm constantly studying my dog. I would have brought him, but he's getting his nails done today.
Is he really?
Yeah. Well, because he's just ripping up the floor. He's got some hooks, but I watch him never leaves his bed without stretching first in the morning. First thing, down, up dog, down dog, full up, down dog, and then full speed, 80 miles an hour like a rocket, and then just right to the couch and lay down. And then just be totally sleeping, and then just up, full speed, back to the couch and lay down. I go, there's something to be said about that thing. A little stretch, full speed, lay down. Full speed, lay down.
But no warm-up.
No warm-up. No warm-up.
But people need warm-up. Do you agree?
I don't know if I don't know. I don't know about warm up. I think warm up is being alive. I think we never warmed up. What's that?
What about if you're going to lift something heavy? Do you think that you should warm the muscles up first?
Well, I think if you set the thing up and you put everything on and you set it all up, you're already starting to warm up. And if you're psyching up and getting your brain ready to do something aggressive, I think that the adrenaline's already going and you got a lot of stuff. I mean, I know if you just get up off a chair and walk over and try to grab a giant bar with a bunch of weight on it and lift it, that might be a problem. But that wouldn't be, you would never do that in nature when you were going to lift something heavy. Usually there'd be some lead up to it, whether you walked to the place that you were going to and you got the thing. And, I don't know about, because I think there's mixed opinions about, people say don't stretch before you work out. Yeah. And that's been the most recent thing. Before it used to be, loosen up before you work out. And I'm like, my dog does down dog, up dog, down dog, and that's only after he's laying down. And then he just goes full speed.
Well, I know that if I do Muay Thai, if I'm hitting the bag or something like that, I don't go hard at first.
Yeah.
I break a sweat.
Yeah.
I do the first 2 rounds, I'm just shadow boxing.
Yeah.
I'm just I don't full blast the bag until I'm sweaty.
Yeah.
But that's just my thoughts. I feel like that's the way you're supposed to do it. That's what I've always been told.
Yeah, I think I would connect that more to part of it is because of what we are now.
Because we're sedentary and because we're
we're not what we're not fully in our nature essence. We're not wild. If we were wild, I think we wouldn't need as much any warm up. When you're wild, you don't need a warm up. But I think because we're not moving as much, because if you're moving all the time, you would already be warmed up.
I would like to see a human from like 5,000 years ago. I'd love to be around like a hunter-gatherer and see what they looked like.
Their pain threshold was crazy, first of all. What they could endure. Their pain threshold was just
Right, 'cause if they
ridiculous,
had
like
broken
broken
bones,
arm, and be
yeah.
like, we'd still be operating with broken stuff, no problem.
Yeah, what did they
Yeah.
do? They just kind of like tied it up or something. I mean, I don't know what they did.
That was when they advanced into medical.
Right. Yeah, right. A lot of them probably just hobbled around until it didn't hurt as
Well,
much.
that's where inflammation came in. Everything got inflamed so that it would hold it, naturally the body would hold it in position so that inflammation's designed to kind of immobilize it, cast it. It would, if it was your ankle, it would just get so swollen it couldn't move, but they'd still be on it. They'd still be rolling. It just, they wouldn't be moving it around because the body would naturally do that.
The future of humans does not look so rosy when you really think about how we're slowly deteriorating, becoming these gelatinous balls of meat and tissue.
And the bodies are connected to the brains. And so that's why we have some mind issues too, because at the end of the day, the bodies aren't functioning correctly, so that's not feeding the brain correctly. And so the brain, that's why I think that when you're really physically well, then your thoughts are physically well.
I think it definitely helps. But people do not like to hear that. Do you notice that? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, absolutely.
They didn't even like you. Like, you seem like a happy guy. I don't think you're on any medication.
Yeah,
Or you are any? No. But some people who are want to think like, no. I have a medical problem and I need this. Even if they don't exercise, they go, no. You don't understand. And then if I say, okay, but do you ever exercise? They get mad at you.
Absolutely.
They get mad. Like,
absolutely.
You're suggesting I'm lazy. You're suggesting I brought this upon myself because of my behavior.
Yeah,
no, I have a disease.
Yeah. No, but again, I think that's a disclaimer. That's a way out to not have to be accountable. Be accountable. Like, hey, that if I was out moving and doing things, that it would actually make this go away. I think that I think a lot of depression is connected to that. I believe icing could cure a big portion of depression just because of the hormonal response to the system. And normally when people are depressed, it's connected to some sort of hormone imbalance.
Yes.
And to have a doctor try to figure out what that is, it's pretty elaborate. It's pretty tricky.
Well, they've shown in studies that regular exercise is as effective at SSRIs or more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think also diet, because of inflammation. Like, the inflammation for sure leads to all sorts of different ailments, which could lead to a depressed feeling, a feeling of unwellness.
Well, just eat a bunch of garbage for a week and see how you feel.
Yeah,
I can tell. I'd be depressed.
Yeah. Or just drink some Laird superfood turmeric coffee. This stuff's the shit, man. So the sauna thing, what is the benefit of getting it that hot?
Well,
listen,
listen, honestly, my problem is that, if a lot is good, then even more is better.
That's me.
That's my mentality, right?
Yeah. We're both
like,
stupid.
hey, no, I'm just saying, like, hey, if 10's good, then 20's got to be
better,
even better. But I think part of it is the natural evolution. If you're sitting there doing time at 180 degrees, and you can go in there and you're hanging out, and then just 20 minutes, it's 30 minutes, so you might as well just try to turn it up. And my understanding is that the Europeans, you look at a sweat lodge, and it ain't 180. If you go into any kind of sweat lodge, if you go to Europe, all the saunas are much hotter. Like, it's like you go into a Russian, steam thing. It's not like those things are, I think that they're pretty conservative with it. I think you just listen to your body. If you go in there and you start hallucinating, you might want to step out. You might be like, hey, maybe I ate something wrong, or maybe I need to just give my body a break. But I think you just use your own feeling as your guide, and I know that if I'm properly hydrated before I go, my tolerance is substantially greater. Like, I can really measure it. I can be hydrated, go in and be like, oh yeah, no problem, and I can go in dehydrated and feel wonky and be like, I'm not as good. So
that makes sense. Yeah, I definitely have adapted. I've definitely adapted to 200 degrees because when I go to yoga now, it does not seem nearly as hot. 105 degrees, even at the end of the class, I'm like, this is interesting. I was thinking of the last class. I was like, this doesn't feel that bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that shows you right there that you're adapting, and then all of a sudden your tolerance, the thing I really like about the sauna is I think it really plays into overheating as an athlete. that you overheat, and that's usually when you have issues, right?
Yeah.
As you overheat, and then your performance is encumbered, right? You just and so the more your tolerance is for the heat, the more you can handle overheating. Pretty soon you don't overheat, and then you just don't have that, because that's one of the factors that gets an athlete, I think, is in any performance, is you overheat. If whether you're fighting or marathon running or basketball, any sport, when you start to overheat, that's usually when you're toast.
Yeah.
You're done. You start losing your motor skills, and if you can build that tolerance up. And I think, like you said, hey, if you go in 200 and 220, and then all of a sudden you're at yoga, you're at hot yoga, and it's 105, and you're just like,
it seems
camping
like
out.
nothing. Yeah. It really does make a giant difference. And I've only been doing it at 200 for a couple months now.
Yeah.
Really, and 210, like I said, the last few days.
Yeah. But
you have been doing it this hot for how long?
Well, I've been doing it for a while. Like I've been doing, it's been over the last couple of years. I did I did a protocol that I heard on Dr. Rhonda Patrick's show, and it was holding a 1 hour straight at somewhere between 170 to 180.
Whoa.
So that's another, and if you do that 10 days in a row, I was doing it twice a day for 10 days in a row, and you're supposed to get like some 1,600% hormonal boost, like your whole body just goes into this radical hormone boost.
So 170 to 180, somewhere in that range?
Yep.
Interesting.
170, 180, 1 hour straight. And I was doing that, and I did it twice a day for 10 days in a row.
Wow.
And at the end of that, you got a different gear. It's like all of a sudden you got OD in your gearbox.
Interesting. Well, it definitely increases the red blood cell count, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know all the science. I just usually go off of, I usually go off of instinct, and then sometimes it gets validated by science, and so at the end, I think, and there really isn't any studies on it, but I truly believe that heat is better after performance for recovery than ice. I mean, I think ice is comfortable. I had my. I have a whole thing about pain, a relationship with pain, and I was doing a thing with I had a hip replacement, and I was set up to do all this icing before, and then I learned that icing suppressed the healing hormone IGF-1. There's a healing hormone that helps your body heal, and pain kicks that hormone off. That's how the body knows. So when you suppress pain, you stop that healing. So you go on ice, you suppress that hormonal release of IGF-1, that's the healing hormone, and all of a sudden it's going to slow your healing down. So if you do it because it makes you comfortable, like, hey, if you've been, running around and you're overheating and you're going to go in an ice tub because it feels good, that's one thing. But if you think that it's going to benefit you, I'm not sure. I don't know yet. I think heat could be the better benefit because you got heat shock proteins, which deal with damaged cells and for all that stuff. And I'm not listening. This is just stuff that I hear that I'm feeling. And
Full
then
disclaimer: we're both not doctors.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Dennis Miller. This is my opinion. I could be wrong, of course.
Yeah.
So so that. And then they talk about growth hormone, that your body produces growth hormone in the heat, right, as another one of the side effects. And so from my understanding, and I'm not a doctor, so I when I hear that, I go, well, then heat should be the thing you do, because after every game, every football, every basketball player, every athlete goes right to the ice tub.
Yeah.
And I go, if you're going there for comfort, okay, cool, that's great. But if you think that that's actually the thing that's really benefiting, really going to bring you the best recovery, maybe heat's going to bring you the best recovery, but it's going to be miserable, because last thing you want to do after you finish a workout is go sit in a hot box.
Right.
You're just not going to be happy.
But for injuries, they say you should reduce the inflammation. But if what you're saying, that's interesting, right?
Well, the more pain, the more, the old saying, no pain, no gain, right?
Is that true, though?
No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. I mean, everything's painful. Like if you go in the heat, it's discomfortable. You go in a workout, you get sore. I mean, no pain, no gain. So if we go with that old, no pain, no gain, I believe that the pain is associated with the healing because of that hormonal response that pain brings into you. So I would attribute, like I had a fast recovery, but I attribute some of it is because that I was not suppressing any of the pain. So I think if you take pain meds, that's suppressing healing. So if you say, hey, I'm so uncomfortable, I got to pop pain pills to endure this because it's so hard. Well, then just extend the healing. That you're just going to, and the more you suppress the pain, no matter which way you do it, whether it's ice, pain pills, whatever it is, I believe the longer you extend the healing, the more pain you can take. I mean, inflammation is the marker for that healing hormone. So again, reduce inflammation. I don't know if that's again. I would like to a doctor and somebody to tell me that really has a study that they know that they've really looked at to tell me that that's really working. That the icing. I mean, if you do it immediately, right when you get, you snap your ankle and you go right in an ice tub bucket and keep it from fully, inflaming, maybe. In that instantaneous, but doing it over days, and I think that's just pain. I think that's just comfortable, making you more comfortable.
That's interesting because you always see basketball players with ice on their shoulders, ice on their knees, like right after games, because they have to play
comfortable.
Yeah, I was just thinking they have to play so many games in a row, though.
Yeah, but it's also comfort,
right?
Comfort,
right.
Like I think it's because it feels good. If your shoulder's all jacked up and you numb it. Just like a pain pill would do. This is just a topical numbing. Icing is just creating the guy that created rice, which is like
rest ice compression and elevation.
He came out last year and said I was all wrong. So no, he did. That guy came out
last year.
Well, then the last couple years,
he should feel really bad.
Well,
everybody's been saying that forever.
I'm saying, but so he came out and said, that he was, that he takes it all back. So, I don't know. I mean, I just think there's no absolutes. I'd be interested. I've been trying to learn about it. Like, hey, can you really tell me what really is the best thing? Or maybe it's heat and ice combo, that heat and ice combo, because that does so much flushing to the system. Squeeze down, the ice squeezes everything, and then all of a sudden the heat expand.
Yeah.
So your contraction, expansion, and that, I know that is but that takes energy too. That tires you down more than the heat. But
you do ice bath heat back to back?
Yeah, I'll do sometimes I'll do it on a Sunday. I'll do 7 rounds of that stuff. 9 rounds. That's why we want the intensity, right?
Right.
So the colder it is, the shorter you have to be there, and the hotter it is, the shorter you have to be there.
Right.
So if you're hanging out, if you can get it down to 15 minutes and 3 to 5 minutes, let's say 3 minutes in the ice and 15 minutes in the sauna, then all of a sudden, let's say 20 minutes around, then then here you go. You got 2.5, 3 hours.
That's why 170 to 180 you do a whole hour. Versus
but that's a whole different protocol. Yeah. That was just one I heard about, and I just tried. I tried it. Part of it is because hard to stay in that thing for an hour straight at 170. I mean, that's not an easy task.
Are you listening to anything in there? Or are you just
the beat of my heart?
Did you bring anything in, music or anything?
Yeah, I'll listen to music or something like that, or a podcast, or get somebody else to suffer with me.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right,
just get some. Try to.
That's hard.
Try to get somebody else, and maybe they come in for half, and then they're back out, and then they come in for the other part or something.
When I'm on the road, I try to get comedians to come in the sauna with me at a hotel, and it's only 150, 160, and they're like, "I'm out." I'm like, "You're out. You've been here for 15 minutes. This ain't shit." It's so
it's all what it's right. In your brain. It's in your mind. We're so domesticated.
Yeah.
We're so domesticated. Yeah. It's hot, it's cold, it's this, we're
Now, is this something that's you, or is this the whole surfing community? Are they into this kind of stuff?
No, I mean, what's interesting is because I'm a surfer, obviously everybody thinks, all the surfers and you're friends with the surfers. I'm not. I really am kind of outside of the community itself. I have friends that surf, but I'm so not part of, and in my career, I haven't been part of the industry of surfing really. So in a way, I have friends that surf that come and do it, and there's been some influence into, surfers in general, at least the good ones are training and using these ice heat protocols, and so they're aware and motivated. But surfing in general is I don't even know what half those guys are doing.
Well, I would think that they would be looking to you. I mean, if I was a young surfer and I'd say, man, I fucking love surfing. I'd like to be doing this when I'm 55. What's Laird Hamilton doing?
Yeah, but I don't know. But I think sometimes I think for a lot of, obviously it's changed now, but in the past, I mean, and it happens a lot with the younger people in general. It's just like, don't tell me what to do. I can eat whatever I want and do whatever I want. I can go to Taco Bell and Burger King and still and stay up all night and still, rip, or do my thing, and it's true probably in every sport. And then I always say there's 1,000 20-year-olds, and then there's 500 30 years olds, and then there's 250 40-year-olds, and then there's and then you just go as you go. And there's less and less, and I always love that the term "the victory through attrition." When you're just the last guy. If you're just the last guy and you're standing, you don't even have to be any good. You just win. You're like the winner. You're like, you won. You're the only guy left. That kind of thing. So.
Yeah.
I like that.
This is just you've been following this just to improve your physical performance, just for life.
Absolutely, absolutely, and. I think I really cherish feeling good. I cherish feeling good. Like I really enjoy feeling good. And so that drives me towards, wanting, and like I said, either whether I had Paul Chek years ago, went and did an assessment with him. And
he's an interesting guy.
Very. Yeah.
And watching his stuff a lot online.
Yeah. And him and I had an instant connection. But I love the philosophical approach to certain things. Like he said, and this had a huge impact on me, 25 years ago, or he was like, the three white devils are white flour, white sugar, and white milk. And I'm like, okay. Like
chocolate milk. Drink that. Well, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Chocolate milk. Yeah, just put cacao in it. But if you put raw cacao and raw milk together, that's a powerful drink.
Yeah.
That's for real. But if you put dead milk,
homogenized, pasteurized,
just abused, and then you take some really bad cacao, if there's any at all in it, with a bunch of who knows, you can't pronounce it. He said, if it wasn't here 10,000 years ago, don't eat it. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. And then the three white devils. I mean, that's a philosophical.
I have a hard time with turmeric, though.
Yeah. Why?
It's just the word. I struggle pronouncing it.
Yeah. But it was here 10,000 years ago, so you're covered.
So I'm fine. Yeah. Those are good pieces of advice, though.
Yeah, but just to look at food that way, it's like people go, what's your diet? I go, plants and animals.
Yeah.
Plants and animals. Like, what, don't make it difficult. Don't be like, well, I eat this and that. I think that the stress around that stuff is crazy, but I really believe that to have optimum performance and to be optimum, that you have to have every spoke in the tire. That you need every single spoke. That you have to have a good relationship with your family. You got to have love, and you got to have good things with your kids, and you got to have friends, and you got to have your health, and you got to sleep well, and you got to be hydrated, and you got to work out, and you got to have your business thing, and you got to have. I think you just have to have all these things to really have balance. And I think if one of the spokes isn't tight, that there's a bump in the wheel, and then you're just not gonna. I don't truly believe that you're performing at your optimum, because your head needs to be clear when you go into your performance, whatever that looks like.
I think that's excellent advice. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it definitely keeps your mind clear. You have your bases covered.
You're not you're not here but there, but somewhere else. I mean, and I know I've dealt with having all the spokes good, and I know that how that feels, and I know when it's good, you're clear, you're good.
Yeah.
You're and it's how we're meant to be. I mean, we're meant to have that be real clean. We're meant to have that there be some balance.
Yeah.
Got to have it.
Yeah, that's why, even overworking. People think that,
they think that's a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I work night thing and I don't sleep and I'm like,
yourself.
Then you're compromising yourself.
Yeah.
I told Elon Musk that.
Did you?
Yeah. I went to SpaceX one time and I pulled him aside. He was standing there. I go, hey, you got to take care of this. Put my hand on his chest. I just go, you got to take care of this, but you got to take care of you.
What'd he say?
He just, I don't know if he understood.
He's a robot.
Yeah, I don't think he understood me.
Barely a person.
I'm just saying, I don't think he, no, I don't
think
say
that with all due respect. And
but I don't think he understood what I meant. I felt like, someone like that, if they were really taking good care of themselves, getting the right sleep, eating the right food, getting a workout, all those things, imagine
Right.
Imagine. Like
Yeah.
if they can do what they're doing, burning it on both ends, imagine what they could do fully balanced.
Well, I don't think he wants to do any more than what he's doing. I just think he's so obsessed with getting Tesla to run correctly. I mean, when he was sleeping on the floor of the Tesla factory and working 17 hours a day, I mean, that's an insane person. I mean, he was just there all day long trying to make it work. And obviously it does work. They're amazing cars.
Yeah.
Everything's it's beneficial, that this drive that he has. But I agree with you. Like for overall enjoyment of life, that's not the way to go about it.
Well, and I think you have a blockage there, though, too. I think if you can't pull back and look at it from a distance, when you're in it, I think you get too detailed, and then you can't, you can't be. I think it could be better because of that. I think maybe it'd be profitable.
It's hard, man. It's a hard fucking business.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're competing against the big boys.
Yeah, right. But what's interesting is
oil.
Even though they are doing that, he's managed to make something that's so different than anything else.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
No, I don't.
Fuck, man, they're crazy.
Yeah.
I was reluctant. I told him I would buy one when he did the podcast.
Yeah.
But I was like, God damn it, I like muscle cars. I like hearing engines. But I drove that thing. I was like, oh, other cars are stupid. They're all stupid.
They are.
They're archaic compared to that thing.
They are. Well, and you see all the companies going that way now. You can see. I mean, we were because my buddy Wildman and I were into electric stuff, and we went, and there was a guy that had an electric dragster, and we went down with this electric dragster, and it just smoked any top fuel dragster like beyond, but it didn't make noise, so no one wanted to watch it. So I mean, and you're like, what happened? No smell. Right. No noise, no flames,
right.
No
good stuff.
No burning gas, no
pollution.
Yeah, no pollution. So people were like, that's no fun. So
yeah, but when you drive a Tesla, like I have the Model S, the P100D, I think that's what it's called. When you drive it, it's effortless. Like everything you just go where you want to go. Like I'd like to be over there. It's like a video game. Yeah. Like all of a sudden you're over there.
Well, you have to get used to it because I've been in them and driven them. And it's interesting how the body has to acclimate to the acceleration because you're used to that jolting,
like
that shifting, first gear, second gear, third gear, all that delay. Like it's like AC versus DC. Normal cars are like AC with a little gap between the power. And when you get that, it's the body has to get used to the. I'm still not totally okay with not looking where you're going and just flipping it on autopilot, but I guess that's for the next generation.
Well, that's fun on the highway, but I look where I'm going and I keep my hand on the wheel, but it is fun to like shut 10% of your brain off and just let the car kind of handle the speed.
And it does it well.
Does it well. Yeah. Well, I like I said, I think you need a person who's as obsessed as Elon Musk is to make something like that. But I agree with you. If he wants to enjoy his life.
Well, just live longer. Maybe have more ideas. Have more influence. Like just be. I am only speaking that way. I just mean in the way of optimizing him, right? Optimizing him because of he's so amazing.
Yeah.
That let's optimize your amazingness by making you be healthier, take care of yourself so you can be around longer and maybe do more great things, right? So it's again, I'm just speaking personally about when you try to look at optimization, right? Like you're here, you only get so long, what are you doing? And are you really optimizing it by taxing the system and not getting all of it out of it that but I guess in a way it's kind of like unhappiness. People use that as a workout. So that's that makes you tired and you get hungry and it's like,
yeah, I guess
there's always that.
Well, it's the choices you make, right? Like sometimes you just get stuck in the momentum of the choice that you made, and it's very difficult to take that pause and go, okay, am I doing this the right way? Maybe I need to reset. Maybe we need to just take some time and really consider if this is making me happy and how many years I'm going to be able to do this and sustain it.
Yeah, well, that's a tricky thing, right? That's a self analyzing yourself and putting that up is. I think it's easier just to keep going the direction you're going.
Just caffeinate, and take some Adderall, and keep hitting the gas.
Go full speed.
Yeah. How long have you been living in Hawaii?
Well, my mom took me from San Francisco when I was 6 months old.
Whoa.
So
wow.
Pretty much, it was only a technicality that I wasn't born there, which actually worked against me. It's because when you're not born there, then you're not from there. So
Right.
they're
The
like, oh, you're not
locals.
born here.
Right.
And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, but I've been here since I was, since I can remember. So let's just put it that way.
Right.
When my
That's
memory
interesting.
actually worked.
They still hold it against you. The 6 months that you weren't
Oh,
here.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
We missed you, bro.
Oh,
6
yeah.
months. Where were you?
Yeah. You weren't.
Shitting in
You
your
didn't
pants?
come out of your mother here
Yeah.
in this state. But
Yeah.
but yeah, since I was a little kid. I mean, my mom took me. I was born in San Francisco, and she took me when I was a few months old.
I have a theory about people from Hawaii. There's a groundedness that they seem to exhibit that is universal. It's almost you very rarely find completely frivolous, dopey people that live in Hawaii. They're not. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure you
yeah.
find some people that are not that smart, but there's a groundedness
There is.
that so many of them have because they're on a volcano in the middle of the ocean.
And it's interesting that you talk about that because yesterday we were having a conversation about what is that, right? And we have a couple terms. One of them is mana, which is the power from the land. Another one is aloha, which is our kind of a spirit of how people act from Hawaii. But I believe it has a lot to do with islanders. I think islanders have that, and it has a lot to do with. It has a lot to do with the ocean, being around the ocean, that the ocean's surrounding you. And the ocean is the most conductive substance on Earth. So electrically, and there's all this thing. So you get influenced by this, and I think energetically, the nature is so powerful. I think it puts us into there's a certain kind of humility that you have when you're next to a volcano that's 14,000 foot and you got a 2,000 foot waterfall and you got a giant wave. I mean, this is stuff that kind of goes, oh yeah, we're just little ants.
Yeah.
We're just little specks and we don't.
It's humbling, but it's also inspiring.
And
It's
energizing.
Yeah.
Gives you power.
Right.
The mana.
Yeah, I've always wondered why people that live in beach communities they're so chill. Like I've wondered, is that because of just the humility that you get when you're just looking the ocean? You're looking
The Blue
over
Mind.
it.
Have you ever seen that book?
No.
It's called The Blue Mind. The guy's pretty interesting, and he does a study of why we gravitate towards being on the beach, why all the most expensive real estate is beachfront, and that something about when we stare at the ocean, they did all these studies where it just totally lights the brain up, that our whole, something about the horizon and about the ocean itself that affects our whole well-being. And part of it, we don't even know why, but we're just drawn like, why are we drawn there? Why do we, and it has an effect on our system.
I wonder if that's because we evolved to be close to the water because that's where the bounty is, where you can get fish.
Well, we evolved from the water.
That's true. That too. Do you ever follow that the whole aquatic ape theory? Do you ever?
Yeah, I haven't really. I haven't really studied that. I mean, I know that when you're around dolphins and when you're around whales, it's interesting. Today I was in the ocean and I felt something was around, and I could feel it. I just knew something was around, and then it just 5-10 minutes later, a big sea lion kind of popped its head up and went. But I could feel before. But when you're around those animals that are in the ocean, you definitely feel a kindred spirit with them, unlike you do with land animals. You don't really have. I mean, okay, maybe a wolf or dogs because we were connected with them for 30,000 years. We have that relationship. You feel something with a dog, but with the sea animals, like I say, when the dolphins come around and you just feel some kind of. There's just some there, and they've done some studies with dolphins, how they affect kids that have different. Disabilities and stuff, and how it totally helps them, and so there's some healing ability, and actually dolphins are capable of having a collective consciousness, and that's why when they get surrounded, the big ones don't just jump out of the net; everybody stays together. So but again, the aquatic ape, but that we're from the ocean. I mean, listen, that we call it the soup of life, right? The ocean is the reason why we were here and why we can be here. Because if it wasn't for that, it'd be Mars and it'd be hard to live there.
Yeah. There's something that attracts you to it. It's very strange. It's very when you stand there, it's peaceful just to sit down at the beach and just stare out at the blue.
It is. Yeah. Well, The Blue Mind is a great book. That's a beautiful book talks about that and the science behind that and the effect it has on our system. But it's in a way, watching the ocean move is a little bit like watching a fire. You know how fire is mesmerizing. You have a fireplace and you just watch the flames move. Well, the ocean has that movement. Sometimes I'll go to the beach and I'll do a headstand and stand and look at the ocean upside down, which is crazy because now it's the ocean is the sky and the waves are moving opposite to what your brain's used to. So it's it's something when I'm doing when I'm bored at the beach.
Do you think you could ever live in a city?
I've stayed in a city for a little while before. I mean, I moved to Manhattan at one point.
Did you really?
I lived in Manhattan when I was about 17 or 18. I had some friends that used to come to Hawaii. They lived in Manhattan, and they invited me back for the summer, and I lived there for a summer. It was dangerous for me to be there.
How's it dangerous?
Because you're kind of more wild. You're a little more wild. You're a little more like an animal, and then you're in confinement, and there's just not enough nature. Like I'd go to Central Park and swing off trees and stuff, but that only did so much for me.
How old were you at the time?
Like 17 or something like that.
But you felt like a real urge to be around nature.
Always.
Yeah.
Always pulled to. I mean, I would just go to Central Park all the time.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was just I needed that, and people don't realize when they live there, but when you're in a place with giant cement buildings, that are tall, you're in fight or flight the whole time because because you're threatened by these big masses that could
fall over and hit you.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you're living in that, and then the noise and all the people. Because I grew up sitting in the back of the class, right? I go to a restaurant, I find a chair against the wall. Like I go look for a chair and go, where's, I'll sit in the corner. I want to see what's coming. I like to see what's coming. So, and you go to New York and you're bombarded from every single angle.
Right.
And so you're in fight or flight. You're constantly on guard to, you don't know what's going to, I'll take my chances in the ocean.
Yeah. I love visiting.
Yeah.
I love visiting Manhattan.
Yeah.
But as far as living there, man, I just don't. And my friend Jeff lives there, and he's like, the energy of the city. He always talks about the energy. It's amazing. I'm like, okay.
Well, it's retail therapy, too.
Yeah.
Retail therapy. I mean, some retail mecca. It's why every woman in the world moves there.
Yeah, they want to shop.
Shop. And then your friend goes, there's a lot of energy here.
I think like there's all the people are moving, they're doing things. It makes me want to do things.
Yeah.
But I want to do things anyway. I don't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't meant to live stacked on top of each other. That's not in our nature. That's not in our biology. Now, is there an abundance of everything? Yeah, there's a lot of things that make it attractive, right? There's beautiful women that make it attractive. There's all the food you ever wanted makes it attractive. There's an abundance of stuff, and there's always something to do. You can go to the theater. You don't have to be self-motivated. You don't have to be self-driven.
Right.
You can there's always 10 parties and a bunch of things and speakers and science, just anything you can think of, there's every aspect of it.
Right.
So I think that has an attractiveness about it, but in our essence, do we belong in these metropolises? They don't really have any in nature. So we that wouldn't be a place that, and we can only handle so many people at once anyway. Like we can only have real intimate relationships with like 130 people or something crazy.
Yeah, it's like 150.
Yeah.
I'm what I'm fascinated by though is that these things exist everywhere, and that cities exist in almost every single country. There's a place like a Manhattan or like in LA where everybody's just jammed in together. Like, what is it about people that makes us want to live like this?
That's an interesting thing. That's an interesting question. Why are we attracted to that? Well, the abundance, that we're drawn to go where everybody wants to go. A little bit like sheep, like we all go where everybody wants to go. Opportunity. I mean, there's all these things that, why does every city draw every young person from the countryside, right? Because of opportunity, right? And
excitement,
and possibility, the possibilities.
My friend Michael Mouse was on the show yesterday, and he was telling me that he was choking. He swallowed a piece of food, and he got it stuck in his throat, and he went to a table in Manhattan. He was in Manhattan, and he was like, I'm choking, and he said this to this table of people, and he said this woman just stared at him with no reaction, like didn't smile or anything, and he coughed, and the food came up. He goes, I was choking to death. And she said, well, you should take smaller bites. Like just the harshness
of
New York. It's like
harshness.
the value of a human being is so much less because there's so many of them.
Yeah, that's a problem in the earth.
Yeah,
right now our value and we become such a voyeur.
Mm-hmm.
We become such voyeurs of like, well, I'll just watch you die.
Yeah,
I'll get a video of it and put it, post the stuff. Like that's, I mean, instead of like, wow, that guy needs help. He's hurting. Let me help him.
Right.
Now it's like, wow, let's, I mean, you see, it's a strange phenomenon. You'll get more help when there's less people around than you will when there's all the people around.
Yeah.
Like there'll be 1,000 people and they'll all just sit there and stare at a guy that's bleeding to death.
Yeah.
Where when there's two people there, one of the people will tourniquet the guy's leg.
Right. Like if you saw someone in the woods fall and break their leg and it was just you two, you'd feel totally connected to that person. Whereas if you saw someone, there's 100 people around, the guy falls or gets hit by a car, you're like, well, that ain't my problem.
That ain't my problem.
Yeah.
And everybody goes, that's not my problem.
Diffusion.
So everybody,
diffusion of responsibility. Yeah, it happens in large groups of people. You feel like somebody's going to handle this. It ain't me.
And no one does.
Yeah, no one does. There was a video that I watched recently of this guy. There was I don't know what was happening, but it was outside at night, some sort of a nightclub sort of a situation. This woman hit this guy, and this guy knocked out this one woman, and then another girl came at him. He knocked her out too, and the guy's filming it. Someone's filming it, and they're not doing anything about it. No one's tackling this guy. No one's grabbing the guy. Runs away successfully. And then the LAPD put a thing out looking for this guy. I'm like, how the fuck does the guy with the camera live with himself? How did you just film this guy punch two women?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unless you're a woman too, and you're like, I don't want this guy fucking me up too. I don't know who.
Well, you just hit him with a brick then.
I mean,
whatever. I mean, just saying, drive your car on him. I'm just,
But it is strange how we lose our humanity in these giant
Well, and we're
numbers.
doing it more too now, just with all of there's a bunch of factors that are playing into that, right? Into us kind of separating ourselves from the person next door. They're right there, but we're over here. We're on our device looking down, and they're right next to us, and it's almost like we think that's an invisible screen.
Yeah, there's also a thing about Hawaii that I've always found interesting. Is you kind of know everybody. So you can't be an asshole.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you have
accountability.
Accountability. Yes.
You're going to see him at the store in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So either you work it out and you agree that you don't like each other, and it's just like an accepted thing, or you work it out and you get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I love that about small towns too. Mm-hmm. Small towns have the same thing, but the thing about an island, it's a small town with an ocean around it.
Yeah.
So there's really nowhere to go.
And you live on Kauai?
Yeah, I grew up on Kauai.
How many people live there?
About 60-something now, 65,000 or something like that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's less than the Big Island, which is pretty...
Yeah, but it's big, though.
Yeah, Big Island's big. Giant, and it's like 100-something, right?
Yeah. I mean, I lived on Maui for a while as well, but I grew up on Kauai. Kauai that's got my heart.
Right.
It owns my heart.
It's so gorgeous there.
It's gorgeous.
And then you've got Honolulu, which might as well be Chicago or something.
Absolutely.
It's like city problems.
Absolutely.
They have real city problems.
Well, and heavy military. So they have a huge military, and the military influences a city. Like any city that has the military next to it, there's an effect that the military has on the city.
Sure.
And Honolulu has that. Honolulu is connected to the military because it's got Pearl Harbor and all of that stuff. So
then 1 million people, which is insane.
Insane.
1 million people.
Well, it's the gathering place. Honolulu means the gathering place. Oh. So it's like where everybody goes to, that's where the state capital is. That's our whole... That's Waikiki. That's
Why did that one place become so populated?
I don't know why. I think it has to do with, if you look at most places that cities have been created, it's usually some geographical design, some shape, like a good harbor. Yeah. And obviously Honolulu is an incredible harbor. Right. So great harbor, great protection. So that probably has a lot to do with the fact that it was developed like it was, is because of the nature of, and it was, I used to say, if you went to Rio de Janeiro and no one was there, and you showed up one day with a boat and no one had built anything, it would be amazing. Right. If you showed up in Manhattan and you went up the Hudson and you pulled up onto that island, you'd be like, wow, this place is amazing. So and most of these places, you know, if you're in Paris and you went and the Seine went around it, you'd be like, wow, this. So most of the places where cities have been developed are amazing geographical locations. And then they, out of necessity, they were easy to get to with boat. You know, that has a big factor to it. There's always some sort of, you know, strategic. There's something to do with, you know, being a strategic part. Location as well. But yeah, I don't know why Honolulu, other than great for mooring and harbors and protected, all that Pearl Harbor stuff is very protected. And so that made it very easy to develop.
If you didn't live there, where do you think you'd live?
I'd be another planet.
Do you think you'd live in the mountains?
I love Alaska, you know, but I don't think I honestly, you know, both Gabby and I have been splitting the years since we met, and I realize that I'm nomadic, that I really like the animals. I like to move in a season. It feels more natural, actually, and I kind of. With my daughters, we kind of influence them that way, but I don't want to be anywhere all the time. That's what I really realize. I realize that I'm not good, that you'll get caught up in a domestic with your neighbor, and there's something about being in one location all year round, and it feels more natural to move according to the seasons, right? Like, hey, it's summertime, energize. You go to, you know, we come to California in the summer. The surf is down in Hawaii in the summertime. That's when the waves are flat. So I don't have the sea which means I would shift into other land stuff. It brings a whole set of opportunities. It's like, why would we go north? I mean, why would we go, north in the summer? Because it'd be more abundant. But in the winter you wouldn't go because it'd be too harsh. So it's a little bit like that mentality where you move more, like if you're hunting and gathering, you'd definitely be moving according to the seasons. Like you'd go where the fruit was when the fruit was, you know, good, and you'd go where the hunting was great when the hunting was good, and all of those things. And that feels natural for me to just be, you know, to be back and forth. But
so you do like 6 months in each place? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
So you go Malibu and you go...
Yeah, Kauai.
Yeah. That's nice. Well, and then you get to see both things too.
Both things. And
Super
open your
crowded.
mind.
Yeah.
Open your mind. Open your mind. And energetically, Malibu is very powerful. Like where we are, you know, it's like Indian mountains, and the mountains meet the sea. And there's some, you know, people don't realize how abundant that sea life is too. They always, Malibu, they have like a preconceived idea about what Malibu is. But Malibu has a, you know, Malibu means gateway to the sea in Chugash. That's an Indian word. Malibu is the gate, which is in a way is the valley that opened from the plains where the buffalo were to the fishing and the ocean. So there's some, you know, something to that place that we feel comfortable. And if you're going to be here for us, I can still be in the ocean. I can still have that nature part, but then I can run into, you know, LA and try to expand my brain a little bit. Yeah,
it is really a weird spot, right? Like Malibu has got a weird combination of really rich people that are completely detached and they're on pills, and they're like that. PCH is a terrifying place to drive.
One of the most dangerous.
So many fucking drunk driving
accidents. One of the
accidents.
most dangerous. And it's windy.
Yeah.
And you have the ocean, so good, and houses on it, and a cliff on the other side. Narrow, winding, and bad drivers in general. Just all our drivers in America are terrible.
Well, it's even there's something about that range too. There's so many bars and restaurants where people drink.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. That's a wickedly dangerous road.
Well, there's detached people, and then I've had friends that had their kids go to Malibu High, and they're like, Jesus Christ, everyone's doing drugs. It's all fucked up.
Yep.
And the children of these rich people are often neglected, raised by their nannies.
Oh yeah.
Parents aren't home, and they're just popping
so
pills.
You have that contrasted by some of the coolest people ever, and so you have some of the people that don't want to live in town, that work in the industry, highly successful, that want
nature.
They want nature, and they want to be in there, and they're willing to drive that coast highway every day and go to work in town just to have the balance of being in the sanctuary. So you know, it's what we always say: bright light, dark shadow. I mean, it's the nature of it's what you get with it. You know, with the greatness you get is the destruction.
It attracts weirdos. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, there's so many strange, it's eclectic people.
Eclectic.
Which
kind of makes it, but it makes it great too. Like if you're for the good group, you got guys, you know, you go to the store and you got guys that are that lived in Malibu for their whole life since they were kids. They don't, they live up one of the canyons and they're totally grounded and then you got right next to them some, giant mansion and with, like you said, kids that are neglected but there's some good ocean there. And there's some good mountains. So for like mountain bikes and ocean activities, it's pretty, the land stuff's always going to be tricky with the humans. You get the humans, they're on land.
We rented a place on the water for like 3 months when we were getting our kitchen done. And it was crazy. Like you just sit there, wake up, eat breakfast. You're on the water. I mean, it's just, and the place we were at, it was, the water would literally come to the edge of the house. Yeah. So it looks like you're sitting on the water.
Well, it's like being on a boat.
And you're watching sea otters and all this wildlife and birds.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. You don't want to own one of those houses, but they're nice to stay in.
Well, if you own it, you really don't own it for long.
No.
Not in this day and age.
No, especially if we you never know when we're going to get a big wave.
Yes.
So I'm always gun shy about being on the water, living on the water. I think when I was a kid, we had to evacuate. And so I'm always...
tsunami?
For giant surf, just huge surf. So we had to leave our house, and our house, a bunch of houses got pushed across the road in 1969.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I've always been, I think I've had a thing in the back of my head, like, and besides highly expensive, but just living on the beach, it's like, no, I'll go to the beach, I'll be at the beach all day, but then I want to be away. Like I want to go home and be away.
Right.
And not have sand in my bed and not have salt on my TV and, not have like...
Yeah, everything gets corroded.
Yeah. Well, you have to build a boat. You should, if you build a house there, just pretend it's a boat and that you don't have to worry about sinking. Maybe. I mean, it might sink.
It might sink, yeah.
Slowly.
How far away do you live from the water?
I'm about a mile as a crow flies, but I'm up a hill, so I overlook the ocean, and I can see. And then I don't have any neighbors. I have only one neighbor on the front and back, and then both sides no neighbors. So I've always liked being on hills and being back. I just seems that's where I end up.
It's also views. I think views are really good for your brain.
Good for your brain to be up. And let everything fall below.
Yeah.
Good for the brain. Soothing on the mind.
What is this this physical training company that you're doing? You're doing something...
XPT.
Yeah, what is that?
XPT is, I would describe it as a kind of it's a lifestyle program that evolved out of how we live, like what we do. And so we started an experiential thing where people can come for like 2.5 days and go through this, get exposed to speakers, and they do heat and ice, and we do pool training and breath work and mobility.
So you have conferences and stuff there? Like exposed to speakers? Like, what do you mean?
Well, I'll invite, I would invite you to come and speak for an hour, or I'd invite Paul Check, or we'd have somebody speak on longevity, or somebody speak on, it's just... during the experience, we'll have a couple speakers talk on nutrition, fitness, wellness, career, whatever, just as something as another piece of the element, and then like I said, we have pool training, and then we've been certifying trainers now to kind of help people go through the process as well. And so it's really about rest and recovery and breathing. It's more based on that part. It's not just another training thing of like, hey, how we can hammer you. I mean,
right.
I think that's overplayed. I think the ways we can train and how we're training is really overplayed. I think we're not creating enough things that nurture the system, and really look at trying to support people in their already, hammering life. They're already just beating themselves down. It's like, let's get off the red eye, and then we'll go to the gym and we'll hammer ourselves there, and then we'll stay up all day. And, and I think they need some support. So breath work is a big part of it. Knowing how to move correctly, I think that's a big part of it, because plenty of people hurt themselves, especially in the gym, without some knowledge of movement and form. And then I have a pool training system I developed, which is...
Yeah, Gabby was telling me about that. It sounds crazy.
Yeah, that's the most proprietary thing I think we have is it's a marriage between the gym and the pool, because I despise swimming. That's
You do?
Yeah, I just
That's
can't.
hilarious.
Well, no, I do. I just if you said go do laps in the pool, I'd be like Shamu, and I'd get the floppy fin. And
Really?
That's
crazy. But you're a fucking surfer.
No, but I'm saying, but if you said, hey, we're going to take these masks and these fins, and we're going to swim this coastline where the waves are breaking on the rocks, and we're going to go for 5 miles, I'm in. Like but if you said, hey, go down there and wear some swim goggles where you can't even see, and swim in some murky water where you don't know what's in it, and we're going to swim a mile down there, and you're going to do that every day. I'd rather step on a rusty nail than do that. I mean, it's like that's so because of my disdain for swimming, that kind of swimming. I mean, if it's in the surf and the waves, that's a different game. That's a whole different thing.
You don't want to do laps in the pool.
You'd kill me. I'm gonna die. I would rather. Yeah, I'd rather hit my hand with a hammer.
That's so weird. I would think that you would just enjoy moving in the water.
Well, I do with some dumbbells.
Oh, okay.
So carrying a dumbbell and jumping and dumbbells. And
why did you start at XPT? Like, what was the motivation? Because you're obviously into doing this stuff yourself.
Yeah.
But why create a foundation or?
Well, the reason why we started it was because an opportunity to expose this stuff and share it with more people. We were doing it ourselves naturally, and then we'd have friends come, and they were like, "This stuff's awesome." And then, can I invite my friend? And then we realized that if we really wanted to expose it to more people and share it, it was going to be a limitation if everybody had to come to my house.
Do you have like a website and everything?
Yeah.
What does XPT stand for?
XPT life.com, and XPT stands for, well, my concept is exploration in performance training.
There it is. So, high performance fuels a limitless life. Dumbbells in the pool. There it is.
Oh yeah.
So this is all your idea, the dumbbells in the pool?
Yeah.
I need to.
Yeah, you have to come. Well, I'm just in the process.
It's my boy, Kyle Kingsbury.
Oh yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah, well, I have some beautiful guys come. Like, I'll give you a great thing that you'd appreciate is I have this whole well, first of all, there's a bunch of things that happen in the water, right? Which one of the things that happens is when you're underwater, the compression of the water allows the blood to flow through your lymphatic system, which normally takes about a 24-hour period. It happens in 1 hour. So imagine compression tights. Like, if you wear compression, it really helps the blood flow. Right. Well, this is the ultimate compression. The water is, right? Yeah. So then you deal with the psychology. So it's good for fighters. Like I fighters, because of the psychology of what we can do, because you deal a lot with stress. So we're able to implement stress in a very controlled environment. And then like, for example, and Grant Hill at one point in his career, but I have a friend, Joakim Noah, who's a basketball player, and we were doing these in the water. We're doing these dunking drills last summer. So I trained with him and did a bunch of stuff, because you can do a lot of highly explosive, heavy loaded movement with protection. Because now you don't have to worry about momentum, which is what's going to pull your shoulder out. It's going to throw your hip. It's going to hurt your knee. Where I could take a basketball player and I can run him through thousands of jumps, which at the end of, if I did that on land, he would be broken. He's already jumping too much in his season. He doesn't need to jump more, right? So I could load him up and make him do these dynamic movements, but now he's protected because we've taken gravity out. So it's like saying, hey, we get to go trade in outer space, but it's in my backyard.
Right. Now, what kind of results have these athletes been experiencing?
Well, so Joakim in his career, and I don't know how many years he's been in the NBA, he came back after doing this dunking job, just using this as an example, and had the most dunks per minute that he's had in his entire career. Whoa. He was like dunking it was slamming on everybody. I mean, it helps that he's 7 feet tall, but the fact is that he noticed. Now, Grant Hill was talking about he gained 3 inches in the last year of his career after playing in the NBA for 20 years. All of a sudden, he's jumping 3 inches higher.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, that's the kind of tangible stuff that I'm getting. Just that there's a lot more things. A lot of it has to do with breath, because in the water it's all controlled breathing patterns. So everything is controlled, because you can't breathe in until you get to the top. So if you're doing a drill where you're jumping, and most of the things we do are leg driven, swimming is mostly arms. Part of the reason why people only use their arms is because you use 5 times the oxygen with your legs as you do with your arms. So the legs are very inefficient for swimming, but yet they create a lot of load on your heart, which that can boost your breath holding. And so there's a bunch of other things that happen. But a lot of it is just that environment is very protective. So for recovery too, for like when somebody's got a hurt knee, hurt hip, hurt ankle, you can go in there and start moving dynamically early before you would ever do it on land and be protected. So there's a bunch of, and then we can just ratchet it up. I can make, if I truly believe if you said, I'll get you, Phelps is going to come to your house and you're going to have Phelps for 3 months, I could make Phelps faster. Yeah.
What is this here? Oh,
he's doing a dunking drill and he's using a medicine ball, but he's having to jump out of 3 feet of water, right? Mm-hmm. So when he gets on land, it's like a whole other game.
Yeah, I would imagine.
A whole nother game.
Now, did you invent this protocol, this whole thing of jumping and doing it in the water? What motivated you?
Well, the original concept came out of a thing we used to do in the summer when we were kids. That's a Hawaiian kind of waterman drill where you run on the bottom with stones.
So I've seen that. BJ Penn does that stuff.
Yeah, so you get a stone, you run along the bottom, then you put it down, then your friend swims along the surface, and then when you go up, he swims down, grabs it, and then he goes along as far as he can, and you swim, and you just go back and forth until neither one of you can do it. So it was based kind of on that concept, but I wanted to expand that because that's kind of limiting. You just swim and you run, and you can't isolate movements, and you're not working like you can with dumbbells. So now I shift dumbbells into the water, and I have all different weights. So depending on your skill level, everything we do, and that's one thing about everything that I'm involved in is it usually has to have it has to be able to be, for everybody to do it. It has to be old people and kids. To in my mind, that it's not viable unless you can appeal to everybody. That you need to, a kid needs to be able to do it, an old person be able to really be valid, to really have legitimacy. It's like, okay, the coffee, there has to be things that the kids can have, that creamer, old people can have it. It's got to be good. It can't just be specialized. I think the specialization of some of this stuff creates the lack of validity. I don't think that it's valid if it's specialized. And so I could take a little kid, like my daughter does a bunch of the pool training stuff, right? I have an older guys that come and do a bunch of the pool training stuff. I got Pat Riley comes in there and he trains in the summertime with us and stuff. Yeah. So we get a really broad spectrum of people, and that confirms to me that it's really legitimate, right? Because then it's like, no, this is real. Like the kids can do it, the old people can do it, the top guys can do it, the bottom guys can do it, everybody can do it. That's something that's I just think that's the what is real.
So how many years have you been doing this?
XPT, well, the pool training I developed over the last probably 10 to 12 years, about 12 years now in the pool. And
you've evolved it? So you started off with a couple ideas?
Well, I had like a Velcro weight jacket where you Velcro like a weight, and jump in the deep end. It was a little scary. Yeah. Can't get the jacket off, and how could you get up? So that wasn't
too sketchy.
That wasn't viable. That was. So then we moved to dumbbells where you can drop them. But we, there's probably 20 exercises that we have.
How much weight are you using?
It depends. Sometimes we have a move called the gorilla where we're using, 60 to 70 pound dumbbells where you're doing a curl press jump. So you're jumping on the slope. So you're curl pressing and jumping with 60, 70 pound dumbbells, depending on your size. We're swimming with 50 pound, 60 pound dumbbells. We're jumping off the bottom with 15 pound dumbbells. It depends on the exercise. So it all depends on the person's skill, what the drill is. But I have all the weights next to the pool. So we have everything from 70s to 5 pound dumbbells.
I love that idea of the jump press. Like doing some sort of a...
Oh, yeah. You'd love it. It's crazy. I call it the gorilla curl. So it's a squat, curl, press, jump. And then when you come out of the water, you just let the weights drop, and then the water catches them. You could never do that on land.
And how deep
rip your shoulder out.
Right. How deep you do this in the water?
Well, you vary on your height. So I have about a 11-foot deep end, and then I have a slope so you can choose every depth all the way, and then I have what you saw in that last video. It's about a 3.5-foot shallow end. So this is the first pool. I'm trying to build a couple. I'm trying to build one in Hawaii right now that's gonna evolve from what I learned from this pool. So this pool, I just kind of built it with with the hopes of designing a program, and then out of it came all this stuff.
What are you going to alter?
I'm going to create multiple depths. So I'm going to do like an area that has 12 foot. Then we're going to shift back 2 feet and have a 10 foot, and then another flat area of 8 foot, and then another flat area of 6 foot. And then I have the magic width is about somewhere between 35 to 40 feet wide. And that's like if you're trying to swim a heavy dumbbell. We do a lot of individual limb stuff so that you isolate each limb. So we'll do pistol squats and Russian lunge squats and a bunch of other, and movements that you'd be very vulnerable if you did that in the gym. The chances are you could hurt yourself, but because you have that stability in that environment, it totally supports you. So you can be and go into ranges of motion that you don't have. Like you might not be able to go sink all the way down into a deep lunge on one leg and press out with dumbbells in your hand on the land, but in the water you can, and the water actually makes it lighter, so you have to boost the weight and stuff. So there's a bunch of great stuff that comes out of it.
That sounds very attractive to people that have had injuries.
Beautiful. But the irony is it's a little bit like what comes out of rehab, where you actually get better performance too. A lot of rehab exercises become performance driving exercises. It's like, hey, don't do that shit only when you get hurt. Start doing that and get strong that way, so then you won't get hurt.
Yes. Yeah.
So it comes that way too. It goes both directions.
And do you have workouts that people can follow online? If someone goes to the XPT Life, is XPT Life, is that what it is? XPT Life website?
Yeah. Well, actually, the thing that we have, the thing we have right now that's probably the most kind of prevalent one, the thing that's happening the soonest, is we have a breathing app coming out. So we have a breathing app that has almost every different modality of breath work. And so there's some pretty cool stuff in there where you can go choose, hey, before I go to sleep, or before my workout, after my workout, during my thing. So we have a pretty cool breathing app that we're working on as well. So
you ever talk to Wim Hof?
I know Wim.
Do you know Wim? Okay,
absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, yeah.
Wim doesn't give a fuck if you breathe out of your nose or your mouth. He's like, just breathe, man.
I know. He
just
doesn't
breathe, motherfucker. He's so crazy. I love that guy.
He's comedy. No, I've had a few. Wim and I've had a few. We've had a few experiences. Let's just put it that way. But we've had him at a couple of experiences, and I've done some stuff with Wim. I've known Wim for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years now, maybe a little longer. So he comes usually when he was in town. I think the last time, maybe when you saw him, he comes to visit. So I get him. Usually when I go with Wim, I usually translate for him when he goes to one of his classes. I'm usually like trying to.
Oh right. Even though he
in case people don't understand.
English,
I know, but I'm just saying. Sometimes I'll be with somebody. They'll be like, "What did he say?" I'll be like, "What he means is take a deep breath and hold it."
Yeah, he's such a character.
He is a character.
The guy went to fucking the top of Everest barefoot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what?
Oh, yeah. I almost lost his toes, too, yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. No, he goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, his art actually is Tumo, is a derivative of Tumo. And I'm not sure if you know what Tumo is, but Tumo is a Himalayan breathing technique that the monks have, where they have this one thing where they dry sheets. So they have this thing, a ceremony where they go at night in the Himalayas when it's frozen, it's snow, and the guy sits there and they put wet sheets, wet blankets on them, and they breathe and get their bodies so hot that they dry the blankets. And then the guy that can dry the most blankets at the end of the night is like the guy, But
really?
Yeah, and it's called Tumo, and it's you can go online and look it up. But Tumo is a Himalayan breathing technique that was never exposed to Westerners until just as of recently. But Wim's work is a derivative of Tumo. But nose breathing, it's all about nose breathing. It's all about nose breathing, and when you understand the science of it. But he's right about getting people to just breathe, because people are not breathing. And we just had, in fact, we had another Belissa. What's her? I want to say it's a Russian name, but she has a great book. She trains fire and police and military breathing. We just had her we did an XPT in Miami about 2 weeks ago, and she came as a guest speaker and was working on really trying to create more volume, and then a lot of people's rib cages aren't moving, and so they have a whole, there's ways to try to increase your movement of your rib cage. Your rib cage should actually open, like you can take a tape and measure your rib cage when you're fully exhaled, and then when you inhale, it should expand like 3 inches or more for you to be really optimally breathing. And a lot of people, part of it has to do with the whole six-pack abs and what's aesthetically pleasing. But meanwhile, when you have a real nice set of six-pack abs, you're not able to diaphragmatically breathe. You're not able to use your diaphragm. You're not using your diaphragm when you have that. Yeah, because the tightness isn't allowing the diaphragm to push down. The diaphragm and the pelvic floor actually squeeze your organs together, and that is actually massaging the organs, which influences your digestion and everything, and it deals with a bunch of acid reflux and a bunch of other things. But when the abs are so tight that the stomach can't expand, the organs can't push this belly out, then you have a limitation in your and then the ribs aren't moving. It's just.
But guys are going to hear this and go, "Good, I'm going to stay fat. I don't need a six-pack."
Well, but no,
I know what he's saying, though.
Yeah, but I actually, if you're really using your lungs, you'll strengthen your core in a way that you'll get core. You can have six-pack abs and not have core stability. So, and you know this. When you look at a lot of, not every single great fighter is just ripped.
No, some of the best ones ever are not ripped at all, like Fedor.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about that for an example of, that aesthetic isn't always function, right? And of course the mind is always ahead of everything. I don't care what the car looks like if it's got no motor, it doesn't do anything. So it's the body only goes where the brain tells it. But the fact is that you see some of the best athletes. When you look at certain athletes, they're not the physical specimens that you've ever seen. You're like that guy's the most ripped and shredded. Sure. And a lot of times those guys get knocked out. You see the guy come in and you just go, this guy's going to kill this guy. And then you just get, annihilated by the guy that looks maybe not quite as hard, right? Part of it is like genetics.
Max Holloway's a perfect example, Hawaiian guy.
Yeah.
He's not like shredded. He's strong, obviously, but he looks more like a swimmer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you might find that his breathing, he might have better air volume, because at the end of the day, a lot of it's about oxygen.
Cardio, Cardio, and Max's cardio is off the charts.
Exactly. So he's getting more movement out of there. Again, we've created these, aesthetic things in our culture, like, six-pack abs, a sign of this, and da-da-da. But when you look at real breath work and how the diaphragm works and how the ribs expand, you realize it's like none of us are really doing it right, and you can actually create more volume. You said you like cordyceps mushrooms.
Yes.
Well, those are actually a vasodilator. Those help you absorb oxygen. Those can up your VO2 max, right? There's only a couple things that you can, how to increase your VO2 max, but cordyceps is one of them. Beets is another one. You can create more volume by expanding your lungs. So by opening the rib cage and creating more room, that can promote your VO2 max.
Now, when people are hearing this and they're hearing breath work, folks who have never done anything like that, they really don't understand what you're saying. Like, what do you mean by breath work? Like, give us an example of like a protocol.
Well, a real simple. They do it in pranayama. They have it in apnea. There's a thing called holotropic, but breath work really is when you isolate the breathing system, and the simplest way, and that's why Wim says, "Hey, I don't give a shit how you breathe. Just breathe,
motherfucker.
That's right.
Breathe.
Yeah. So, like we'll do a breath routine and we'll sit somebody down and we'll say, okay, breathe like you're running. Breathe like you're running. And we'll tell the guy, breathe like he's running. And they'll go, that's a slow run, buddy. Like, breathe like you're running. Like, like anytime, any movement and any air in and out is a form of breath work, right? And especially when you isolate the system and you're not doing it because of an activity. The fact is that when you use that system and you work it and you're not detracting from it by doing an exercise. If you're doing the assault bike, well, your arms are working and your legs are working. So all the oxygen that you're absorbing is going into your arms and legs. When you're isolated and you just do the breathing alone, now the oxygen is going into that system, and that system is going to develop and get better. Then when you do your assault bike, after you develop that system, so we'll isolate breath work and we'll just do it alone. Well, whether we're doing breath holds, we're doing some kind of apnea breath work, which is, we can do a pattern where you're doing like you hold for 30 seconds and then you breathe in for 15 and then you breathe out for 15 and then you hold again. Then you go in and out and hold, in and out and hold. That's one pattern. Another pattern is in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold. Like, again, and then there's pranayama, apnea, holotropic. There's just some where you're oxygenating the system where, like WIMs would be where you just get that rhythm going and do that for 5 minutes. And people go, oh, wow, I feel lightheaded. And I go, yeah, because you haven't had oxygen like that in your head. You haven't had oxygen in your system like that, right? So again, bringing consciousness to your breath. We're not just walking along in life, like not thinking about breathing. That's the beginning of breath work. Just awareness of, hey, I need to... I just need to breathe in and out,
just
right?
To stay conscious. Yeah, and that's a big one with martial arts. You see in jiu-jitsu with beginners, when they first start sparring for the first time, they panic and they have shallow breath. And you got to tell them, okay, stop right now. Just breathe. Just breathe.
Oh, yeah. Well, fight or flight.
Yeah.
Fight or flight.
But it's interesting how they can't get a deep breath.
Yeah.
They hyperventilate.
Yeah. Well, you put somebody in the ice for the first time that hasn't done it.
Oh, yeah. That's the craziest.
You want to see it?
Right?
That's an instantaneous. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't breathe.
Oh, yeah.
But you eventually learn.
Well, the system turned. That's actually an involuntary response to get out.
Mm-hmm. Right. You have the option, so you should exercise that option.
Well, that's an involuntary response. That's your subconscious mind protecting the organism. Like, hey, your body intuitively knows this is dangerous environment. Get out. And so that reaction is to get you to get out. When you make a conscious effort to not leave that environment, then the body goes, oh, okay, you're not going to get out. Okay, well, now I'll organize. I'll bring the blood to the organs. I'll adjust everything. I'll boost your hormones. Yeah. And then pretty soon you don't get that response anymore. Once you do it on a regular basis, the body just goes, oh, here we are again, back to that ice thing. Bring the blood, boost the hormones, bring all the blood in the organs, that. So, but that's a similar thing to what you're talking about in jiu-jitsu, where people are the stress on the system. They're stressed, and so they're involuntarily, and that's fight or flight. One thing you can really do to calm a kid down is the way you get yourself into parasympathetic, where you bring your thing down, is when you extend your breath for 7 seconds on the inhale and the exhale. That'll bring everything down. Like if you want to calm down and your kids your little kids just and you get them to just breathe in for 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And I tell people, think about a sigh.
My youngest daughter, when she would get upset, she would do that. She would, and I'd try, like, you got to breathe.
Yeah.
Calm down.
But 7 seconds is a magic number.
Yeah.
If you can extend the breath for 7 seconds, then the body goes into parasympathetic.
Yeah.
And totally, that's what you do to go to sleep at night, like if you're having a hard time. So there's a bunch of stuff to learn about the breath, which is amazing. I think the reason why the breath has always been so important to me is just because of the ocean.
Sure.
Because, growing up, when you almost drowned, 1,000 times, air is important. You get to you just get to appreciate there's none down there, and it's all up there, and so be cool down there, so you can get back up.
Well, I learned breath work because of Hicks and Gracie. I'm watching Hicks and Gracie practice yoga.
He's a friend.
Oh, you know Hickson?
Yeah.
You know he does that. What is that called? That stomach thing? What is that stomach thing called?
Well, that's the pranayama.
Yes, but there's a name for it.
Yeah, where you twist the...
He really sucks his organs up in. His son can do it amazingly. Crone can do it amazingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
super good for you.
Well,
good for the organs.
Yeah. And that the ability to control your breath like that is so critical when you're sparring. So critical to get oxygen in these long training sessions.
Well, for your life.
Yeah.
For your life. Anytime you're in the stress, if you can control your breath, that controls your heart rate.
Yeah. Do you ever do 30 seconds in, 30 seconds out? Do you ever do that?
Yeah.
Just slow, deep
Yeah.
breaths in,
Yeah.
slow, deep breaths out. That's an amazing exercise.
Yeah.
'Cause it's
Well, that's the
difficult to
extension of
maintain.
that
7.
parasympathetic.
Yeah.
That's bringing it. 7's just the minimum amount.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you go into any of those long extended stuff, and then those breath holds, anytime you hold the breath, then you get that CO2 level, and that's what gives you the angst to, what's interesting, because, Wim's done like some record breaking stuff, and you have that free diving stuff where they scrub oxygen, where they hyperventilate and scrub the CO2 and get that real low, but you have to be careful about shallow water blackout. So we don't really practice any of that stuff. We do more like assault bike, jump in the pool and see how long you can hold your breath. Well, and then it's and then 5, 10 seconds is like, that's big time. 15 seconds, you're like, wow, that was amazing. At maximum heart rate, how long can you hold your heart? I mean, how long can you hold your breath? That's a challenge.
So you keep an assault bike right next to the pool?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, just for
so
punishment.
You want to roll, you roll it into the sauna.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. God, man.
There's always another, twist to the pretzel.
Now, because of your hip, do you have any limitations on other kind of stuff that you can do? I would imagine running would be a real problem.
Yeah, I like deep texture running, so soft sand because of the foot and the articulation of the feet, and not wearing shoes. So I'll do sand running, and like if I'm in the snow, like Alaska or something like that. But I love barefoot and deep stuff. I don't like running on hard ground. First of all, as soon as you're, if you're 215 or whatever, anything over 200 pounds. I mean, you shouldn't be running more than a couple miles a week if you're over $120. I mean, it's just
really.
Oh yeah, it's so hard on the hard ground. Absolutely, that stuff is just pounding you. I mean, it's one thing to go in a soft something that has absorption, like if you're running in the sand or you're running in the snow or you're running in some deep, thick grass or something that's got absorption. But yeah, you go run, you're 180, 200 pounds and you're running, you just pound, everything's just, 7 times your body weight on the download. And then you're wearing a shoe that's kind of deceiving you. It's a little bit like a sunglass, you think it's blocking the light, but it's letting the bad light in. You think it's blocking the absorption, but you're just getting pounded. I mean, your feet are, barefoot is so important, grounding so important. I mean, these are things, but I have a cool bike that somebody just gave me recently called a stand-up bike, which the company called Elliptigo, but it's a standing bike. It's positioned so for standing alone, and so the posture is unbelievable. And you want to grind on a hill. I mean, you don't need running, and then you have zero impact. It's like, so I think running's hard. I mean, I understand the high of running, but if you want real running is barefoot in some soft sand. I have this one beach in Hawaii that I run on that's a little bit like quicksand. And probably you'll sink in like mid, lower calf, like you'll sink in a foot into it.
Oh wow!
And you don't need to go far. Like you don't need to go. And you know what a taro patch is? No. So I grew up. I grew up farming, like around on a pig farm, and then with taro patches and fishing, and so I kind of grew up in. But there's a taro patch is a rice paddy, pretty much mud. Mm-hmm. Right. And so we grew up working in that stuff and walking and carrying buckets and being in that mud.
Just sloshing.
The mud, like a foot deep mud. But I'm saying an environment like that where you have to pull your foot out and then sink in where it's absorbing the impact. I mean, that's where work, I always question the damage versus the work, right? Like the pounding that and most, I mean, once you're a certain size, the pounding that you get, I think you can get all the cardio you want. Do jump rope. Jump rope's great. You're landing on your toe. You're doing the thing about when you're running. Inevitably, people go to heel striking. They're landing on their heels because they have a shoe that they think they're getting, they think they're getting protected because they're landing on something kind of soft, but it's still sending that impact up your spine. And inevitably, anything you do and you come back and your back hurts, I have to question, like, is that optimum?
Right.
And that wasn't deadlift either. It was, like,
right. Yeah. But what about your friend, the Muay Thai fighter?
Well, he runs like
on the
very super short step, balls of his feet. Yeah. And I would call it more like I don't even know how to describe the pace, but it's a slow pace that you're landing on the toes the whole time. So it's not like a run, a hard
Right.
run where you're pounding. So
he's probably like doing like 10-minute miles or something like that.
I don't know. I don't even know what his range is. You'd have to ask
think
Mr.
that's
Tom
okay?
Jones. Well, I think running off your toe is great.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
the
there's
problem
some,
is the
who
the
does
shoes,
it?
the running
Who
shoes.
does it?
Right.
Who does it?
I do. I run with minimalist shoes.
Yeah.
And I only
But I mean,
run
who-
hills.
but it forces
It is
you-
a standing bike. That is ridiculous. I wouldn't be caught dead in that thing.
Well,
Get away from me.
That's the Elliptigo. They have a new one that's just a pedal.
I'm just kidding. I think it looks awesome.
No, but you know why the guy made that?
Silly.
Because the guy was a runner and couldn't run anymore, got injured, and then he started to bike, and he said biking's not running, and so then he developed that thing because it simulates running without the impact. So
Right.
that's, and like I said, that's why I like the pool. That's why, and I think too, it's like if you think about doing things forever. We're talking about doing things forever, right?
Yes.
So we're talking about doing things forever. So how are we going to do them so we can do them forever?
No impact.
Well,
Yeah.
so reducing impact. And if you actually started doing that initially, then you might not have to worry about trying to recover from
Right.
all that stuff so it's like we don't want to train in a way that we're going to have to change our training to try to make up because all the damage we've done. Let's try to avoid the damage from the beginning. It's already too late for me. I got 6 broken ankles.
Jesus
I got
Christ,
broken
look at your
arches.
ankle. Do that again. What the hell did you just do? Your ankle has a
Well, it's
golf
been
ball
broke
growing out of it.
six or seven times. Broke the arch, broke all the metatarsals.
Just from surfing?
All different. Motorbike, surfing, snowboarding.
How did you mess up your hip?
Probably because walking on a broken ankle for all those years. Because each time I broke it, I had 5 or 6 different breaks, and then I would keep going. So I would keep walking on it, but it means I had to carry the load on my right hip. So I think I just wore the cartilage out from offsetting and carrying the load of the broken leg.
Jesus.
So that was,
So it wasn't like one injury where you hurt your hip. It was just slow.
Oh, no, I just wore it out. I said I lived a couple lives with that one. That was only a 1 life hip, and I had 3 lives in it.
What is it like having a fake hip?
Insane, incredible, bionic.
Yeah.
The thing's not even in my brain. Not even.
How so?
It doesn't. I don't ever even bring it into consciousness. It's slicker. It's like a Mercedes-Benz ball joint. I mean, it's absolutely perfect.
Wow.
I've had ACL. I had some knee stuff before. That was harder to recover from than the hip. The hip was, I just felt like I got kicked by a horse for a couple months. And then after that, it was like no brainer, jump off a cliff, go stand up, paddle, run. I mean,
do they tell you to not do certain things?
No.
Really?
No.
You could just start taking jujitsu.
Don't do anything you should do with your real one.
Oh, really? That's
Don't do anything you shouldn't do with your real one. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Wow.
That was the only thing. I mean, the guy, Dr. Pennenberg, who did mine, he did it to a contortionist. I guess some contortionist had some blown hips, and he did it to, and the girl's still performing and stuff. So
Whoa.
I think it's, I mean, this stuff is, the technology is amazing. And the thing that I would consider if I ever had to do it again is that the atrophy from the initial problem is harder to recover from than you just going and getting the new one. And I think when people push it, they used to try to push that stuff because they wanted to wait till the technology got better and they only last 15 years and all that stuff. But the atrophy that you try to recover from is harder to recover from than if you would have gone and gotten it done as soon as you needed to have it done.
So the one you have now, you have to get it swapped out every 15 years?
No. But
back in the early days.
Well, they don't know how long this new stuff lasts. They had some material that wore out after, like, because there's some kind of polyurethane, some kind of
slick outer layer.
Well, like a cartilage, like a man-made cartilage between the ball joint and the socket, and so that stuff wore out in the past. But and they have this new stuff that has been in for 10 years, and a lot of people are ready, and they've seen zero wear on it. So
wow.
you don't know. Could be 30, could be 10. I mean, I was actually. I stayed conscious and I was able to stay awake for my hip surgery.
Why'd you do that?
Because I didn't want to have to recover from the
anesthesia.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, it takes people a month to get the anesthesia out of their system.
Really?
Oh yeah. to try to get anesthesia. I mean, anesthesias control death. They just put you right to the edge of dying and keep you alive. I mean, anesthesia is some hard stuff on your system. To get that stuff out of your organs, you got to do like a full detox cleanse. It's not just like, oh yeah, anesthesia.
I've never heard that before. I didn't know that. I thought you feel like shit for a day or two, but I didn't know it takes a month.
That shit's in your organs and stuff. There's no way that stuff just goes out. They can't dose you out and knock you out like that without that stuff lingering. I mean, how long does it take when you got a hangover? I mean,
so did they do like an epidural block on you or something?
Epidural block, yeah. And they had it so good that they could just isolate the left hip.
They did that to me when I had my first ACL surgery because I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I
want to watch.
I felt like I'm only going to do this once in my life. I want to see this. Turns out I had 3 of them.
Yeah.
3 knee surgeries, but I wanted to see it. I wanted to be there.
Observe.
It was pretty freaky.
Yeah. It was ACL?
Yeah.
I had ACL too.
Yeah.
I had ACL the right leg.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a cadaver.
I had a cadaver on my right leg, and the left leg I had a patella tendon graft.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So now your hip doesn't even. You don't feel it. You don't feel anything. No
not
pain.
even in the wheel. Not even a thought.
Wow.
Not even like amazing. And it was debilitating. I could barely walk. I mean, I could still surf, but I'd get to land, and I was hobbling around like.
My
wounded.
friend Maynard from Tool, the band Tool.
Yeah.
Maynard he's a jiu-jitsu enthusiast, and he had to get his hip done, and he fucked his hip up from stomping on stage. Because he's always stomping with one leg.
Yeah.
He blew his hip out.
Yeah. Well, I think mine's attributed a lot to my back leg in surfing.
Ah, okay.
So I'm on that back leg, and that back leg is
always loaded.
So I think that, but I know the breaks in the left ankle and left foot, and how many I had, and that I was always on it. I know that attributed a lot because this right leg carried the load for that thing.
Did you get your left leg fixed? I mean,
my ankle?
The ankle, yeah.
Nah, I just let it.
So every time it broke?
Listen, I went to my knee to get my knee worked on, and the guy goes, he saw my ankle, and he goes, and then he saw how much mobility I had, and he called in some foot specialists, and they had to take X-ray. They just wanted to see because I have no metal in there. There's no screws. There's no nothing. I just let it, it just.
So every time it snapped, you just let it sort of heal itself up?
Yeah.
So it snapped, and you just walk around on it?
Yeah. Pretty much. Cut the cast off. The first time was when I was 16.
That's
and
so crazy.
I cut the cast off, and and I went out and rebroke it the first time.
Oh.
And then I had broke it other ways. It got a little smarter after I rebroke it. But yeah.
That's so
and then
crazy.
the arch, I broke the arch because the ankle was so bonded that when I broke it, I actually broke my arch. That was probably the most painful. That was the most painful break down in that area.
Yeah. Well, when I talked to Kelly Slater, he broke his foot like that too.
Yeah.
The same sort of
his
deal.
was just recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his was fucked up for a long time.
Yeah.
He said that's a painful thing to snap your toes, like the middle
the
of your
metatarsals
foot.
are crazy. Well, you have 75% of the bones in your body are below your ankles.
What? Really?
75%.
In terms of numbers.
Yeah, numbers of bones.
Yeah.
But your feet have like half the bones of your entire body.
God, I never thought of that. That's crazy. But there's a lot of shit down there.
A lot
going on.
A lot. Little ones and little nubs and weird little ankle.
See, that's why kickboxing is so stupid. You're throwing those things at people and slamming them into elbows and knees and stuff.
Well,
I've fucked
the
my
quad's
feet up a bunch
big.
of times.
Oh, guaranteed.
Yeah, I've broken my feet.
Nothing like kicking something and breaking your feet.
Yeah,
elbows. It's a little embarrassing if it's a wall, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Is that what you kicked?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh.
No, mine was. Like I said, mine broke mostly sports related, motorbike, windsurfing, towing.
Yeah. Well, I guess with as many injuries as you've had, though, you do understand like what's good and what's bad for you.
For sure.
Yeah.
You hope.
Yeah.
Well, but it's interesting. It's a little bit like in karate, where when you know how to heal, you know how to wound.
Interesting.
That the more you understand, it's like I think my injuries, first of all, it's a form of failure. I think that is taught. I've learned a few things from them, and you learn also how to recover and how to heal, and so I think that feeds into how to train and perform. Like I think that's all interrelated, because you start to have a more intimate relationship with your body and know how it responds. So I think there's something. I mean, you don't learn a lot from winning. and succeeding. That doesn't
Right.
teach you anything compared to losing.
Yeah.
Losing teaches you, and in a way, injuries are forms of loss.
Sure.
They're
unsuccessful endeavors.
Yeah. When you lose your ability to do stuff, and then you wonder why you're doing it, and if you're going to be able to do it again.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah. Do you float at all?
No, but I saw your float tank.
You've never done it?
I haven't.
Oh man, I thought that would be right up your alley.
I know. I just haven't. I've been invited. My friend has one in Malibu. I just haven't ever.
You can use this one anytime you want.
Yeah, I should try to come over and float in that thing.
Come on down, man. Anytime you want, it's here.
I can tell there's salt in there by the way everything's crusting up in the back.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Yeah.
It's 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts. In that tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're anytime.
Well, I have an ocean, so I float there, and
that helps. But there's a lot of noise in the ocean.
No, it's true.
It's just
true. But that's what you love about the pool, because you're floating already. As soon as you go under, I actually have speakers underwater. So
in your pool, really? Oh, you play music? Oh, wow!
So you can get lost over there. It's pretty cool.
So, what other things do you do besides the curl, press, jump thing? Like, what other types of exercises are you doing in the pool?
We're doing like single dumbbell, so
like
single
cleans?
single arm dumbbell, and then stroke, get a breath, free fall. So you're doing single arm jumping.
Oh, okay.
And then we're doing
swapping
single
hands?
arm swimming. Single arm swimming, carrying dumbbell. I call that ammo box.
How much weight are you doing that with?
We can do like 50, 60 pounds.
Wow.
It's called an ammo box. It'd be like if you had an ammo box and you had to swim across the river. Like that's kind of the concept. We have cell phone. We have the Yuki. We have
cell phone. Do you keep your hand out of the water?
Yeah. Yeah, and hold and swim with your hand out.
Oh wow!
And then a bunch of, like I said, single leg stuff. So a lot of like Russian pistol squat, jump lunges. What else? A bunch of fast breaks, where we're doing this one where we drop down. You run along the bottom with 2 dumbbells to the other side. You set one dumbbell up, you jump up, you bring one dumbbell out, you go back down, grab the other one, bring that one out, and then pull both of them out, then drop back down and run back out. We call that one fast break, kind of mimicking like if it was a basketball court. You'd run down, you jump up twice, run back, jump up twice.
Yeah.
And then we have Spider-Man. Spider-Man's one where you swim, you carry a dumbbell and you descend into one end. You jump up, you grab, you get a breath, you descend into the other end. And then all these exercises we're able to to make them harder, we'll do them on an exhale. So you can do to ramp up. We can either increase weight, we can increase distance, or we can do it on an exhale. So
when you developed all this stuff, did you write all this down from your own practice, from all trial and error? Like, how did you develop this method?
Some of them came from failure. So, you'd try to do one move and then you'd fail. Some of them came from friends that I was working out with that would, let's try this, and then we'd modify it. Some of them came from my daughter. I watched my one daughter swim down one day and grab a weight and then try to swim up with it. I'm like, that's a great move. And so we some of it came out of necessity for movement, like certain dynamic movements that the basketball guy, one of my friends needed, and then. So it naturally, all the movements kind of naturally evolve. I think that's why they're all so great. And there's an isolation to each limb. So we have an isolation so you can really see if the dexterity of your right arm versus your left arm and how strong it is versus the other one, how strong one leg is next to the other one, how the ranges of motion and the mobility. We can do front, back flips and front flips, multiple. So you jump up and get a breath and then do multiple flips. And extend work time so that you extend breath work, where you'll do like 3 or 4 moves in on one breath. So we have a bunch of ways to ramp it up as we evolve. Because you know how it is. It's like in any exercise, you get proficient and then you're like, well, how do I make it harder? Well, you make it longer, you make it faster, you make it heavier. But because you're in the water, we always have the breath holding element. And then we have the distance element. And then we have the weight, because we have weights. So we have the weight element. So those are different ways that we can ramp it up.
So when you're developing this program, are you writing all this stuff down? Are you doing these workouts yourself and saying, okay, I really started to fatigue after 30 of these, so we'll try to
I have a group of guys that come to my house that train 6 days a week. So there's
6 days a week?
Yeah.
In Malibu or in Kauai?
In Malibu.
Oh.
So because Malibu's the summertime.
Right.
And summertime is really like the season for training. Because there's no surf. In the wintertime, you're not going to train and then have a giant swell and be tired. That would be just stupid. So you never want to the problem with it is that you get, I tell people, I go, listen, probably in any sport, you get the most out of shape during the season. You're in a certain kind of shape, game shape, but you're really not in shape because you can't have a regimented workout routine.
If you're competing.
No.
Right.
And so in my case, the ocean's dictating the performance, right? So you can be, there's going to be 20 feet to next, in 3 days. And then all of a sudden you show that there's no surf. It's only half the size, or the wind screws it up or something. So you get all that buildup. So we have to do things to kind of exhaust the energy, but you can't be in a nice Monday, Wednesday, Friday pool training with Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, lifting, mobility and yoga and whatever. It's like you can't get into that kind of a rhythm. And Hawaii's not conducive for that anyway. It's part of the beauty of it is like, it's so beautiful. Let's go to the thing, or we're going to go down the coast because it's a nice day. It's a good day for fishing, go to the mountain. There's just so much other activities to be done. Where in this environment, you're in the desert, and it's kind of like, okay, it's a June gloom, no problem. Just bang iron or, ride the mountain or do whatever you're going to do. So that's, but in that summertime routine, I have a group of guys, and that we bounce everything off of each other. So we'll do 10 and he'll do 10 and he'll do 10. I'll be like, yeah, that was good. Okay, up the weight. Okay, 20's too many, or that weight's too much, or that weight's enough. And so we just it's evolved naturally that way. And then I got some other friends that are a little bit more professional. We have my friend of mine, PJ, who's been involved with all of the stuff around XPT to write programming and do that kind of stuff. He trains a lot of fighters, and it's great in mobility and some other training stuff. So he'll come in and they start to really break it down and make it, into a real program. But we have routines that we do. We have circuits that we do that we know, how, when we're taxed. And, it's an interesting thing about what the pool really teaches you is that, you have a volume of energy available. We go, okay, we got a 50-gallon tank, and I can do 3 or 4 drills in 10 or 15 minutes that there's none left. You just blew all 50 gallons.
Right.
You do extended breath holds with super hard work, where I can, give you some things that are a little lighter. And now we can take that 50-gallon tank, we can drag it out and make it last 2 hours, right? Because we're doing higher volume, less weight, and so we're, breathing more often. We can expand that thing. So everything in between, just blowing that whole tank up at once, right? Through real intense breath hold with maximum weight, max breath hold, max weight, max rep. Okay, we're good. And I think lifting's the same way. It's like, how many max lifts do you have in a certain day, and how many per week do you have? It's real tangible in the pool. The pool's real. The interesting thing about the pool is that you don't get muscle soreness because of that compression. So you don't get that like, wow, I'm sore. You go almost every single person that comes. And it's one of I always say, you got to call me and tell me if you fell asleep at lunch. And every guy, every person, I was in the thing and just in their desk at the work or whatever, just fall asleep, like guaranteed. And some guys, I fell asleep for an hour. I saw 20 minutes, 10 minutes, but everybody,
why is that?
Nighty-night. I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with the oxygen and that and the taxation of that environment, but it exhausts you in a like a terminal way, like it's a complete exhaustion. And I don't know why. Part of it is the threat of being underwater. Part of it is that the water is sucking the calories out of you. Because it's like when they were talking to Phelps about burning all those calories. Well, 3/4 of the calories he was burning is because he was in a 70-degree pool. And people go, well, it's our 75-degree pool. And I go, yeah, but the body's 98.6. So for the body to keep itself warm in 3 hours, it's at 75. That's 20-degree differentiation. You got to keep, the body's just working to keep itself warm and because the water affects you more than the air. It's more intense on your system. You just get tapped. So the water temperature, the oxygen load, the psychology of being underwater with weights, you know, the workload that it's taking, all those things play into just full, thorough exhaustion. And nothing I do exhausts me more thoroughly and yet more kind of comfortably than that.
Because you don't have experience.
Well, you don't feel
joint
wounded.
pain.
Well, you're not wounded. You don't come.
Yeah.
If I train that hard in the gym, I'll feel hurt after. I'll be wounded. I'll be a little like, and if I move wrong or something, I'll be like, oh, you know, you feel like you tweak something.
So this allows you to do this 6 days a week. That's one of the reasons why you can do
it
it so
actually
often.
helps flush the other days when you're doing other land training. So it actually helps support but no, I mean, we're doing pool training probably every other day. It's just, I end up turning the kind of, I love being in the pool so much that we do a thing called surf and turf. So we have surf and turf where you're doing like some sort of burpee press, some kind of lifting on the deck into the water, and then a routine in the water, and then back on the deck and back in the water. You might be doing. We have a move called seahorse, where you hold a dumbbell between your legs, and then you hold your feet up in front of you, and you swim like this with a dumbbell in your lap.
Oh, wow.
And then when you get to the other side, then you do push-ups. So you do push-ups on that side, you seahorse over, you do push-up that side, seahorse back, you do that. I mean, you just blow up, right? So I think I enjoy that part of it, just being creative, making it fun, making it interesting. That's the part that really is enticing. Just the drudgery and the monotony, like when you said, oh yeah, swimming laps, I go, that's just like drudgery, just which there's a mentality for that. I'm good. I can be good at that. Like I can get on my board, and you know, I've done some endurance stuff. I paddled 22 hours one time. I've done some
22 hours.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I actually did a thing on Hawaii called the Hawaii 5. We called it the Hawaii 500. We started on the south point of Big Island, and we biked across the Big Island, so 125 miles. Then we paddled to Maui, 38 miles, and then we biked across Maui, and then we paddled to Molokai, and then we biked across Molokai, then we paddled to Oahu, then we biked across Oahu, then we paddled to Kauai, then we biked across Kauai, and we did that in 5 days.
Jeez.
So
what's day 6 like?
That's when you start coming good. That's the end, but you're good. No, it's what you said about Eddie. Running. Yeah, about Eddie. Right. About Eddie. When you all of a sudden the body's like, oh, is this our new house? Right. Is this what we do? This what we do? Yeah. Once the body makes that decision, all of a sudden you're good. Like, okay, I'm good. I mean, the hands had blisters everywhere, but the body felt like, oh, this is where we, I did the Race Across America with Don, with Wildman. He talked me into it. I didn't want to do it, and he suckered me into it. And he said, because I was like, he had other plans. Because he was an operator, and he's like, he wanted me to go in this race, and it's a 4-man team. You know what RAM is? No. It's called the Race Across America. It's a bicycle race across America. Okay. You start in Oceanside and end in Delaware. Oof. And so you bike across, and each guy just goes like 45, 45, 45, 45, and then you chase the other guy when he's riding, and you get out, and then you just go full bore as hard as you can for 45 minutes, and the next guy gets on, and he goes, but you're riding in the car chasing the other guy, and you do this day and night, right? You're doing it day and night, and he, the first couple of days, we felt pretty sick. Like you don't even want water. Like water, you look at water and you're like, that's when I really learned to appreciate kombucha. But we don't even want water. And then day 2, day 3, all of a sudden day 3, you're like, wow, stomach thing goes away. I'm ready to go. I feel good. Let's go. And but it was that thing about the body being comfortable with that kind of drudgery. But I don't mind the monotony of that kind of like, hey, I'm going to go to that island and just, you're going to paddle but if I do it in a routine, like something that's a little more not out of a mission. Right. And then I'm like, then you just, I don't want to go in and do the same lifting routine day in and day out. It's just not, I'd prefer creating new stuff and making it interesting and having the distraction of the challenge of something new and keep me interested.
I get it. Makes sense. What about massage?
Yeah, love it. That? Live for it.
What kind do you get?
Only good ones.
But I mean, do you get like deep tissue?
Well, I've done
trigger point?
I've done kind of almost every single modality you can think. It's usually about the person. It's usually about the person that gives it, and how, if they're healers or not. So I just try to find healers. And
when you say healers, what do you mean?
The people that do it because they're into taking care of people, that they're not doing it as a profession. Like, they don't do it to make money. They make money as a side product, but they're healers. They just have a gift that they, you go, you can get 10 massages, right? And they're all can be good, but there's just one of the people that they just have a skill. They know how to touch. They know what it is. They know where. They know how to feel it. They know how to use the system. I've done the thing that I'm crazy about right now is I'm crazy about dry needling. That's the thing that has been the most profound. I've done all shiatsu and acupuncture and the thing, and just and Rolfing, and I've done the 10 series 3 times, and I've had all those different modalities, but dry needling has been, and then I have another person that just does, and I don't even know what art it is. It's just massage, and she just is able to understand the tissue, know how, and she's relentless, and won't leave it until everything releases, and she knows how to release it.
Can you explain dry needling to people?
Dry needling is a technique where they use acupuncture needles on soft tissue, and they touch the trigger point and get the stuff to release. Like it's not acupuncture. It's a different modality that I'm not sure if it's what states it's legal or not in. I know most of the athletes that I know, they do it a lot in Australia. They do it in Europe.
It's not legal in some places?
Huh?
Some places it's not legal?
Yeah.
Why?
I have no idea. Probably because it works and somebody's threatened by it.
Really?
Isn't that usually the case?
Well, I guess, or someone doesn't understand it and they think someone's a quack, and get those needles out of these people. You don't know what you're doing. There's no science here.
Yeah. Well, there's some science behind it, and it absolutely is the most functional. I got friends with giant knots in their traps, and one session the thing goes away. Extremely
really
intense. Yeah, intense. But dry needling is, if I ever have my friend who's really good at it comes through, I'll steer her your way, because it's the most effective. I think as someone. That you're always looking, right? We're always looking, like what hey, we need the heat, we need the ice, we need the thing, we need the food, we need the thing. Where's the turmeric? Where's the, we always are looking. And so when I run into things that are effective, I cherish them, because I know that, and the problem is you have a high bar, because when you've experienced great work, you can't. You go get somebody who does the little mushy, and you're just like, I don't have time for that. Right. I'll lay still for 3 hours if I know somebody knows what they're doing.
Right.
But I won't be there for 20 minutes if I feel like it's like
you're half-assing it.
Yeah, which is a lot of it. A lot of that stuff's out there, and no fault to the people. I think part of it is just
they probably just don't know,
and their intentions. It's got to be your intentions. Why do you do it?
It's interesting how some people could just find those problem areas. They just, it's right here, and you're like, how do you know?
They know.
Yeah.
And they feel it with their hands. They see with their hands.
And they know right where it's like connecting and where to dig in and
how to release it.
Yeah.
That's an art. That's why I said
myofascial release. It's real.
It's real. When you're good and somebody really knows what they're doing. That's why I say more about the people than the technique, because but give me the person. But that dry needling is it's the most effective of any of the stuff that I've used.
And this person is in California that you use?
The girl that helps me is in Hawaii, and then they teach in Colorado. It's actually a technique that they developed. Some guys that were studying pain, is from my understanding, they were studying pain, and so what they did is they had all these people that were injured in different areas, and then they injected them with different solutions, and they injected them them with like a placebo and like saline and Novocaine and all kinds of different things, and everybody got better. And what they realized is that it was the needle and the acuteness of the needles themselves in the areas that were painful that was causing this release. And so they developed the whole pain referral chart, and then they developed this technique. And it's because everybody always confuses it with acupuncture. They acupuncture. I go, no, it's not acupuncture. This is in the soft tissue.
Right.
Acupuncture is on the meridians and on the electrical system. Right. This is soft tissue. This is to get the soft tissue to release. But they'll take stuff that you've had that's just like a cable somewhere or a knot or something that just won't release. But it's it's back to that no pain, no gain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's always that.
I got a lady that does trigger point massage, and it's the most painful shit I've ever experienced in my life. Like, it's like you just want to quit.
Absolutely.
But when I get out of there the next day, like, everything's like loose and pliable. And I've had things that I'm like, I've really injured myself, and she fixed it.
Yeah.
And then like a day later, like it doesn't hurt anymore. I'm like, this is strange.
And it's been hurt like for months.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was something in there that was knotted up.
Yeah.
And I always assume that that's an injury. And sometimes it's not an injury.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the tissue. It's just not
bound
releasing.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and this has something to do with the fascia and some other stuff going on that they have to know how to release it.
And sauna seems to help that quite a bit too.
And ice, crazy. The combination of those two are. I mean, that's what I found is that sauna and ice kind of eliminate the need really to get worked on unless it's super acute.
Right.
Like if it's super acute, then you need somebody to go in there and put the jackhammer on it. But if it's not acute like that, just the normal maintenance and actually preventing the stuff from getting to a point where you really need to get the work, the sauna is magic. That stuff is crazy good.
And it seems to me that when I've been ramping up the temperature, like into 200s and now in the 210s, it seems more effective.
More effective.
Yeah.
More effective. Well, it's more intense.
Yeah. More torture.
Yeah. More torture.
More results.
But I'm a little bit, and I don't know, maybe it's something you can find out, but I'm a little rocky right now with the infrared.
I was going to ask you that.
I'm a little rocky with the infrared right now, only because of just some of the something that happened to me with my skin, and then I met a dermatologist that was pretty educated, and he was saying that that he says is that it damages the collagen, and
infrared does?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Damages the collagen in your body.
It affects the structure of the skin because of the penetration of it, and that the most you should ever do is and these aren't my words, but the most you should ever do is 3 times a week for 15 minutes at the most
for infrared.
And he was saying that and you should never look at it.
Oh,
as well.
Jesus,
like it's harmful to the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I got a regular sauna just because the protocol that the Dr. Rhonda Patrick was talking about for those, I guess it was it Norway that did those studies?
Yeah.
That was all regular sauna.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, if they're getting these results from regular sauna, I'll just do a regular sauna.
Well, I like regular anyway because it just seems like it's natural. It's kind of like ice. Like people go in cryo. Hey, you want to go cryo? I go, I have an ice tub. I don't need cryo. Right. And by the way, if you want to do a real ice, go in an ice tub because cryo's cakewalk compared to a real ice tub.
Yeah. Well, you can only do cryo for a couple of minutes, too.
Yeah, and you don't have heat next to it. And I mean, you can only do ice for a couple of minutes, too.
Yeah.
It's like...
The thing about cryo, though, is you can do cryo and then work out.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you can do ice and work out, too.
Can you?
And I do that all the time. In fact, we incorporate ice into training. And so one of the things that we do is we'll 3/4 into the training, we'll just pull out right when you start to kind of lose some of your juice, and you'll go do like 3 minutes and come out and then try, and you have another gear. So that's another little thing to incorporate ice within that system. Or we'll do ice as we train as one of the stations. Imagine doing a circuit, and one of the stations is, we were doing a horse a couple months ago, last season maybe, but we were doing an iron horse where you're standing in a horse position with your arms, and we'd stand in that position for 10 or 15 minutes.
What is a horse position with your arm? You mean like a horse stance? Like
horse
martial
stance.
arts?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're in a horse stance.
And what are you doing with your arms?
With the arms are straight out.
Okay.
You're holding.
Okay.
So call it the iron horse or whatever, just standing in the horse. So you stand in the horse position, 10 minutes, go in the ice 3 minutes.
Oh.
come back out, stand in the thing, go back in the ice, stand in the thing, blow you up. Explode you like crazy. So I mean, there's always, like I said, there's always a little hook to give it, but the ice, to incorporate it within your training, I think is phenomenal. Like people, that's why I question warming up, because people go, oh, warm up. How about do 3 to 5 minutes of ice and then go start all your cardio and start to train right now?
Or your body will just be freaked out.
Freaked out.
Yeah.
But the ice makes you stimulated. Like when you feel the system, it's cold, but you're not cold.
Right,
like
your body's trying to heat up, just like Michael Phelps in the pool.
Heat up.
Yeah.
It's revving.
Yeah, interesting.
So there's all that. That's like the science of the fun. You know, for me, I look at it like a laboratory. It's a little bit like being an artist and playing with all that stuff. That keeps me interested. It keeps me excited about learning, because I think it's about learning. It's all about learning.
Yeah, learning about your body and learning about what's effective.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm glad there's guys like you out there. I really am.
The guinea pigs.
Yeah, well, the guinea pigs, and also the guinea pigs that, again, are in my age group.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that it's possible to keep doing this when I'm 55.
Absolutely. Yeah. Long after that.
Well, listen, man, thank you. Thanks for coming here. Thanks for doing that. I want to do your workout, too.
Yeah. Well, you have an open invitation.
All right. Let's make it happen.
I'm still... after the fires, I'm still cleaning. So I got this weekend. We're doing a cert, so we're training some people this weekend. But after this weekend, I'm open for the summer. So if you want to come and
beautiful, I will do that. Deep end. Let's make it happen. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. Aloha to you too as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. That was